government also plans to increase its vaccination points from the current 800 to 3,000. Question is, have you taken your vaccine jab yet? If you haven't, what is holding you back? Good morning once again. I'm Regina Manyara. We're going to be looking at those stories as well as what is happening in our political scene.
All right, and after that short and precise introduction, good morning. My name is Victor Lowe. We are glad you have enough time to join us once again on KBC Channel 1. It is the 24th day of August 2021. The month is almost coming to an end. The question is, what have you done for yourself? I usually say, if you didn't get it right yesterday, you have another chance to make it right today. Welcome to the program.
And a third welcome to Good Morning Kenya. Kama kawaida, we always appreciate that you choose to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. Nothing but the best lined up for you, so you definitely don't want to miss out on that. Later on, we're going to be having our family check. We'll be having our health conversation today, and it's all about tobacco, its use and production in Kenya, and just trying to see the health consequences that come along with that. So keep it here to find out about all that and so much more. I am Jane Wamboi.
Well, and a beautiful morning to you. We always appreciate you for making time to join us every Monday through Thursday from 6:30 all the way to 10 a.m. This morning on the roads, our focus will simply be along Outer Ring Road, trying to check those areas that they had designated various footbridges to be installed. Are they complete, given the fact that Outer Ring Road, at least as we stand, still will be that road that records the highest number of death cases, and this came after that expansion that happened along that particular route. So that will be our focus this morning on the roads. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange.
Now off to the news that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Just to remind you that you can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke, and we are streaming live. You can reach us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News. Tell us where you're watching the broadcast from. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. We have at Doreen Arange, at Jane Wamboi, and at Victor Olo. Now without further ado, your bottom-up economic blueprint is outdated. These are the words uttered by ICT and Youth Affairs Cabinet Secretary Joe Mushero yesterday as he tore into the Deputy President William Ruto's proposed bottom-up economic blueprint. Here are the details.
Saying he's a student of economics, the ICT and Youth Affairs Cabinet Secretary said the successful economic uplifting of the populace cannot be carried out with outdated solutions.
That some of these far-fetched economic fantasies are anchored on falsehoods, sprinkled liberally with proclamations of sanctity by leaders who should know better.
Mushero called on the youth to be wary of leaders who are promising them solutions that he termed as analog as part of a new economic blueprint.
Your time is now. Take advantage of your numbers to make the difference in this country. I challenge you to go forth and seek elective office so that you can start the journey of making meaningful gains for yourselves and for our country.
The CS at the same time hit out at the clergy that he said are allowing politicians to use the pulpit to spread falsehoods and advance their political agenda.
Where has the church been when some of these falsehoods are being perpetrated, sometimes from the pulpit, by these misleaders? This has already been said earlier by the young people here. And for us to have a wholesome youth, for a wholesome society, society must endeavor to tell the truth, even when it hurts, because the truth shall set us free.
In reference to the defeat of the BBI appeal, Mushero also took a swipe at the judiciary, accusing it of engaging in activism that he says is killing the dream of the ordinary Kenyan.
We were planning to ameliorate some of these hardships by pledging to shift more resources mashinani through the BBI initiative. But it wasn't to be. Judicial activism took care of that. Yet we saw some leaders fervently thanking God the Father for the adverse court ruling. It is a classic case of not seeing the forest for the trees. They missed the bigger picture because the whole issue was politicized and anchored as a power hunt rather than a noble development initiative that would devolve more funds to the people.
Quick fact ahead of the general elections, the 2022, that the only shareable positions are 10. How many contenders do we have, and how many alliances have we seen so far form? Remember, we are just but barely a year to the August 2022 general election. As you ponder on that, let's talk about matters of security, where drama ensued at the Likoni Ferry Channel on Monday morning as a special police unit nabbed 2 terror suspects. The duo were intercepted on their way to the Mombasa CBD from the DRC through the Lunga Lunga border, while in possession of 2 AK-47 rifles, explosive making materials, 7.62 kgs of ammunition and 150 rounds of ammunition. Well, here are the details as put into perspective by Juni Karisa.
At around 10 o'clock Monday morning, a special police unit anonymously pitched camp at the Likoni Ferry Channel as they set a trap for 2 terror suspects. The 2, said to be Kenyan nationals, arrived at the channel and paid their dues as is the norm. As they waited to board the ferry, the special task force carefully pounced on them and bundled them up. In their possessions were 2 AK-47 guns, explosive making material, 7.62 kilograms of ammunition, 150 rounds of ammunition, 3 machetes, as well as explosive manual booklets. While confirming the arrest, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungate said shared intelligence led to have intercepted the 2 from the DRC to the Lunga Lunga border as they made their way into Mombasa town. Investigations to unravel their true identities as well as the motive are still ongoing as police presence remains heightened across the CBD.
Still on matters security, police in Siranga, Ugenya Sub-County in Siaya County are investigating a burglary incident that left 4 night guards dead and 2 shops broken into in Sunday night's raid by suspected thugs.
Tension is simmering between the police and traders at Siranga Market in Ugenya Sub-County, Siaya County, with the latter accusing the police of sleeping on their job. This follows an incident last night when suspected robbers killed 4 night guards and stole goods of unknown value from 2 shops.
My shop was broken. When I get in there, I found some money that I left there was not there, almost 80,000. Some goods were taken there. Until now, I have not received any information from our security officer.
Sababu hii kitu inaonekana ilikuwa imefanyika baada ya curfew hour. Na ni kama imefanyika mwendo wa saa 5 hivyo, sababu wao ukiwaona saa hizi asubuhi unaona kama mwili yao imefura.
The irate traders are accusing police officers at Siranga Police Post of failing to respond to distress calls, yet the police post is only a few meters from the market.
Hii wizi sio ya siku moja ama 2 ama 3. Tumekuwa na shida kwa sababu 2 weeks ago kuna maduka zilifunjwa 2. Ripoti tulipiga, hakuna kitu ama uchunguzi yoyote ilifanyika kutoka kwa maafisa wa polisi.
The bodies of the deceased have since been moved to Ukwala Sub-County mortuary. Police in the meantime say they are on the trail of the suspects.
Wakati tumekuja kwa scene tukakuta wezi walikuwa hapa na wakavunja duka moja na wakaua watchman 4 na wameiba vitu ya duka, sukari, kimbo, na hiyo vitu bado tunaendelea na uchunguzi. Tuko na leads ambayo ya ile watu wamefanya kitendo. Kwa hivyo ndio kwa haya kwa sasa, lakini tuko na leads, tuna follow tujue ni majambazi gani ambao wameua watchman hapa.
Now, away from matters security, is that the government has raised concerns over the low number of adults above the age of 58 who have yet to receive the COVID-19. Now, the Ministry of Health Principal Secretary Susan Muchache at the same time said that the trend was worrying, with statistics indicating that the high number of fatalities are being recorded in the same age group. This as Kenya received the first batch of the 880,460 doses of Moderna COVID-19 vaccine.
As the country plans to vaccinate at least 10 million people by December this year and 26 million by June next year, the government has raised a red flag on the number of adults above the age of 58 years who have been vaccinated.
Analysis of our data has shown that 70% of the 4,497 deaths that have been reported so far are occurring in persons over 58 years of age, followed by those who are over 50 years old. It is therefore disheartening to observe that despite prioritizing the vaccinations of persons above 58 years, who are estimated to be 2.6 million, only 91% are fully vaccinated. It is therefore a matter of great urgency that we get 2.3 million people in this category quickly vaccinated to protect their lives.
And Monday morning, Kenya received at least 880,000 doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, part of the 3.5 million doses to Kenya donated by the U.S. government through the COVAX facility.
With this donation of 460 doses of Moderna from the United States government, Kenya will now have received a total of 3.6 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine.
Principal Secretary Susan Muchacha saying the ministry targets to vaccinate at least 150,000 people a day from the current 40,000.
1.6 million Kenyans have received their first dose, and 780,000 Kenyans are now fully vaccinated. We continue to be encouraged by the increasing uptake of the vaccines in the country, because last week alone we attained a daily vaccination rate of 40,000 people per day. And on Friday, we hit a record of 70,000 vaccinations in a single day, placing us on course to achieving our target of administering 150,000 doses daily before the end of September.
In Kiambu County, the government has kicked off a mass vaccination drive targeting over 50,000 residents in 2 days.
In another 2 weeks, hiyo figa itarudi chini, na ndio tumeanza hii mpango ya mass vaccination. So far, tume vaccinate karibu 145,000 people katika Kiambu.
To date, a total of 2,412,209 doses of vaccine have been administered across the country, including 1,631,022 first doses and 781,187 second doses.
Now, going forward, outlets or other vaccination points that are offering AstraZeneca will continue offering AstraZeneca, as well as those that are going to be offering Moderna. It's going to be Moderna. Government, they're coming out and said that we do not want, Wanjiko to mix up these vaccines. However, all of them have been approved by the WHO. So get your jab today and we cultivate herd immunity. Now, Deputy President William Ruto says time is ripe to liberate the country from politics of personality to politics based on issues. Speaking yesterday after meeting leaders from the Western Economic Bloc in Naivasha, the Deputy President vowed he will continue championing the bottom-up approach to the economy, saying the model is aimed at creating jobs.
Deputy President William Ruto met leaders from Western Kenya in Naivasha, where he sustained calls for his bottom-up economic approach.
I am persuaded that the country is ready for this new conversation. Every part of Kenya, every citizen in our republic wants to know how their ideas, how their suggestions can become part of the nation's way forward.
Ruto said Kenyans are interested in issue-based and not personality-based politics. The DP further added that Western Kenya has glaring opportunities that need to be exploited, saying that the region, which boasts 10% of Kenya's population, only contributes to 6% of the GDP.
Collective problem we have is the status of our economy. If the economy can create the jobs, if the economy can create the wealth, if the economy can create the opportunities, we will sort out all the issues that face all our young people.
Meanwhile, a section of Mount Kenya region leaders want the monies that had been budgeted for BBI and referendum diverted to more pressing issues.
Let us use that money to buy vaccines for the poor people, to buy medicine for the common mwananchi, to use that money to support young people who are currently unemployed.
Now, governors will pursue a raft of constitutional amendments through Parliament to salvage gains envisaged for counties in the Building Bridges Initiative Bill, whose nullification by the High Court has since been upheld by the Appellate Court. Through the Council of Governors, the county chiefs have accused the courts of dwelling more on procedural issues in their ruling, thereby ignoring what the governors are referring to as substantive issues.
Reeling from the decision by a majority of a 7-judge bench that upheld a High Court decision that annulled the BBI process, the Council of Governors, a key cog in the BBI bill, now says the journey for the push to have increased county allocation is not yet over. Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi, who chairs the Council's Legal Affairs Committee, throwing a swipe at the Court of Appeal, accusing it of ignoring substantive issues in the BBI bill.
The Council of Governors supports the spirit of the BBI and the dream of ending divisive elections that result in electoral violence, ethnic antagonism and competition, and the fight against corruption. We, as a council, we also hope to see inclusivity among the people of Kenya, increased resources to the counties that will span growth to the rural economy where the largest of our population live.
Kiraitu says the Council of Governors will now sponsor a bill that seeks to amend the Constitution through a parliamentary initiative, calling on both houses of Parliament to adopt a bipartisan approach in a bid to empower devolution.
The Council of Governors will work with other stakeholders, including the Legal Affairs Committees on both the National Assembly and the Senate, to ensure that these amendments are passed through Parliament before the next general election. This is the moment to test the political will, the seriousness and genuineness of those, especially in the political class, who are supporting BBI. We expect them to come out strongly to support the bill which the COG is going to sponsor.
The council is keen on pushing for the increment of county allocations from a minimum of 15% to 35%. They will also push for the amendment of Article 202 to ensure that the equitable share of revenue is based on the most recent audited accounts by the Auditor General in the event the National Assembly has not approved the audited accounts. On Article 204 on the Equalization Fund, governors want an amendment to increase it by another 10 years. The governors also want Article 207 amended to create a fund to county assemblies to separate operations of the assembly and that of the county executive. They are also seeking for amendments to allow for the 4-year moratorium for HELB loans for university students and a 7-year tax break for micro and small enterprises.
We're keeping a keen look, or rather tabs, on what is going to be transpiring in Parliament, especially after that declaration from the Council of Governors in regard to some proposed bills there that were, enshrined in the shutdown, as they speak, BBI proposal there. Now, talking about matters education, the coastal region has recorded a 60% transition rate to secondary school, the lowest to be recorded countrywide in the 2021 calendar. Poverty, drugs and early pregnancy have been cited as the leading contributors to the worrying state of affairs. Speaking in Jomvu, Mombasa County on Monday, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha directed the stakeholders from the region make deliberate efforts to readmit students who dropped out of the school due to some of these challenges to various government schools before Thursday this week.
It was a moment of relief for the family of 17-year-old Moses Wafula as he got admitted to Shimolatewa Boys High School in Mombasa after attaining 394 marks in the 2020 KCPE. According to his father, Alfanyi Sidhani, poverty delayed his son's transition to secondary school.
Nilikuwa nimefika mwisho na nimekata tamaa. Kisha na maana kazi sina kulingana na corona. Paka sasa nafurahi.
His fate seemingly shared by 15-year-old Biosa Hassan, who got a scholarship to study at the Mama Ngina Girls High School. This after futile attempts by her mother Fatma Charo to get funds.
Leo Magoa ameingia kwangu, akaona mazingira nilio naishi na akaiza kumchukua mtoto wangu na akamleta hii shule Mama Ngina.
Ningependa kuwasihi wazazi wasiwafiche watoto nyumbani, wajitokeze hata kuja mashule, kwa sababu kama ninavyosema huyu ameletwa na waziri, lakini kuna yule ambaye baba alimleta mwenyewe na tukamsaidia.
Tumepeleka watoto 1150 ambao ni wa kuriport form 1. Tulitoa pesa 7.6 million purposely ya kulipia watoto ambao wanaingia form 1 kwa mara ya kwanza juzi.
The two are among the 40% of students who are yet to fully transit to secondary school across the coastal region.
We have about 80% of the children are at school. There are areas that are doing very well, with about 90% or so. This region of the coast is doing very badly.
Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha has directed education officials as well as local leaders to trace all learners who are not in school and ensure they are enrolled in public secondary schools this week.
Children in the coast must go to school, all of them. And we want to know if some that are not going, for example, if a child is pregnant, that pregnant child should be taken to school and given all the necessary assistance. Government has given an extra 240 million shillings for us to buy rice directly from where to assist the schools that require children to be fed.
Of justice, where a 34-year-old man has been charged for raping a 25-year-old Nazarene University student, Ibrahim Mukulani Hamisi, who appeared before Chief Magistrate Francis Andai, was however freed on a bond of 500,000 shillings and a cash bail of 300,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 6th of September this year.
5th day of July 2021. 34-year-old Ibrahim Malukani Hamisi was on Monday morning presented before the Milimani Law Courts, where he's charged with 2 counts of assault and rape. It's alleged that on the 25th of July 2021, at the Ridgeview Hotel along Jinsale Road in Nairobi, he committed the offense of rape to a 25-year-old Nazarene University student. Hamisi, who was presented before Chief Magistrate Francis Ndai, pleaded not guilty and was granted a bond of 500,000 Kenyan shillings and a cash bail of 300,000 shillings. The case will be mentioned on the 6th of September for pre-trial directions.
Now, crossing over to matters of business, the cost of consumer goods is likely to soar in the coming weeks due to the rising freight charges and a severe shortage of shipping boxes. The matter has been exacerbated by a major shortage of vessels during the COVID-19 disruptions. Data from the Shippers Council of Eastern Africa shows the cost of shipping a 40-foot container to Mombasa has gone up from 152,000 shillings to 390,000 shillings in the last 8 months.
The world is grappling with a rare and unique challenge: lack of enough container boxes and vessels. This has been occasioned by a resurging global economy and effects of the COVID-19 supply disruption. China, which produces 8% of global containers and ship boxes, says it has increased production by more than 30% this year. But this has not assuaged the situation. As a result, freight costs are rising, which in turn leads to higher prices for consumer goods. The global shortage of vessels coupled with order cancellations are already hurting Kenya's imports and exports, according to data from Shippers Council of Eastern Africa. Kenya, which is a net importer, has seen the cost of a 40-feet container jumping from 152,000 shillings to almost 400,000 shillings in the last 8 months. Trade and Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Betty Maina says the shortage is hurting Kenya's import and exports, pushing up the cost of goods.
We need to focus a lot more on building up our local domestic supply so that we are not as vulnerable to these logistical challenges. I'm glad that last year, in response to COVID, we have started to build up our local supply, and we would continue to work on that. But yes, the container shortage is problematic for everyone who does global trade.
Shippers have also complained about delays in getting empty containers, with the shortage having a negative impact on their business. CS Minor says the government is engaging with shipping companies to help ameliorate the problem. She spoke during a review meeting of the just concluded Seoul Expo that took place in South Korea, where the two countries agreed to deepen their trade ties.
Well, we'll be taking a short break, but when we return, we're still going to be focusing on those stories that are making headlines. Do not go away. This is Good Morning Kenya.
De una forma diferente, de otro modo.
I used to give my support to Madame Lucrecia because she's the mother of Lucio. Now I know that Lucio is very lucky to have you.
But hey, at least all your land is mine now. Let's talk to my lawyer and finish this.
No, not so fast. You're going to have to get Max out of jail, and then I will give you my land. You always think about others before yourself. And I'm really sorry, but I really think that Mr. Maura is already dead. It's been weeks since he disappeared.
Why are you here in the office of my father?
I am the president of this company now. Did you forget that?
I've decided to give Cesar the Star Zone in exchange for your freedom. You're gonna get out of here soon, Max.
Quiero amarte, adorarte, idolatrarte. De una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente, respetando tu...
Kwa hakika ule uamuzi niliochukua kumhusu Badi ulikuwa wa makosa. Najutia kusema la kweli. Haukuwa uamuzi wa busara kabisa.
Tulimalizana mimi na wewe. Sawa. Na sijui kwa nini nifuata hapa.
Nataka kukushukuru kwa kunirudishia sauti yangu.
Ni vizuri mtu kuchukua muda na kufikiria mambo kwa makini.
Wewe, nilikuleta hapa kuja kufanya nini?
Yaani ya maneno ya kujirudia. What type of nonsense is this?
the excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there. As the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Welcome back. Thank you for making time. You're still watching KBC Channel 1, and this is Good Morning Kenya, where we bring you up to speed with those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Thank you, Victor Kwebe, who's been watching, as well as Jackson Kehara there, who is watching from Nairobi area. Remember that we are live, and you can get also further details in regarding to the stories that you missed in the hour on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. We welcome your feedback. Include where you're watching this broadcast from. Now we're speaking matters business and looking at the region. That is the East African region, where Kenya and Tanzania have eliminated a total of 20 trade disputes as the two countries move to improve diplomatic and bilateral ties. Speaking during the fourth session of the Kenyan-Tanzanian Joint Commission for Cooperation, the two countries have agreed to accelerate talks to deal with the remaining 40 non-tariff barriers.
Bilateral and diplomatic ties between Kenya and Tanzania have become frosty in the last 10 years as the two countries engage in regional supremacy wars. This has scuttled the integration of the East African community, where the two countries are the biggest economies. Mid this year, Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu visited Kenya, where the two countries agreed to reset their ties. Kenyatta said Kenya and Tanzania agreed to rearrange their joint commission for cooperation to deal with issues affecting trade and labor-related challenges.
We shall have a conversation around those issues and come to some agreement that we are all comfortable, that we are all happy, and that we can move ahead on those issues.
The ministers of trade of our two countries met in July 2021 in Arusha, Tanzania, and they were able to resolve over 30 out of 60 non-tariff barriers.
Today, the two countries have announced that out of the 60 issues that were highlighted as non-tariff barriers, 20 have already been addressed.
Our government have also continued to build conducive business environment, which include establishment of trade policies and enacted laws and conducted substantial economic reforms. Those efforts have created confidence of the business community to engage and take advantage of the opportunities created within our two nations and the East African region at large.
The two sides have agreed to meet regularly to strengthen relations by sorting out minor problems affecting the people as they do business and interact with each other.
Now, the East African community started off so many years back. Currently, from the number moved from 3, now we have 6 members of the EAC. We're going to be having a special report on the East African community integration process, looking at matters transport as well as diplomacy, that is going to be airing this Thursday at the 9 p.m. bulletin. So do keep, or rather save that date. Now, the Lamu port is fast becoming a transshipment hub for Zanzibar and the East Africa. Now, so far, the port has received 5 transshipment ships destined for these 2 markets. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yetani has said the government plans to dispatch teams to Ethiopia and South Sudan to market the facility. The port was operationalized in June this year after more than a decade of construction.
Almost 3 months since the Lamu port was opened for business, the facility has received 5 vessels with goods destined for Zanzibar and the Far East. The first vessel docked at the facility from Soviet Union, where it collected about 50 containers from Zanzibar headed to Far West. The government says business prospects look promising, with the 6th vessel expected to dock at Lamu in the next 2 weeks as more shipping lines develop interest to use the port. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Kuria Tani says with proper marketing and visibility, Lamu Port will constitute to attract more customers, especially in the neighboring countries.
That we are now set to go beyond what we've been engaging, and the next few weeks we'll be sending delegations to the original intended, to meet the original intended objective of penetrating southern Ethiopia and South Sudan.
However, lack of proper infrastructure is hampering trade at the port, with the Kenya National Highways Authority undertaking the development of various roads in the area, being urged to fast-track the projects.
The road from Lamu to Garsen to Malindi is complete. This now will give us an opportunity to evacuate cargo from Lamu to the rest of the country and beyond.
Kenya Ports Authority says it continues to deploy state-of-the-art equipment to Lamu to boost business. KPA is set to acquire ship-to-shore gantry cranes in order to fully kit the 3 berths at Lamu Port. To hasten the clearance services, the port is connected to other government departments like the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards.
Kisumu County Government is pitching investment opportunities in the blue economy, tourism and agri-tech as the devolved unit prepares to hold a 3-day investment forum in October. Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o says the county officials are holding a series of meetings with various stakeholders to drum up support for the investment forum that is anchored on the Kisumu Vision 2050 blueprint.
Kisumu County has lined up an investment forum next month, seeking to woo local and foreign investors to start businesses in the devolved unit. Among the opportunities that Kisumu County is advocating is the blue economy sector, leveraging on Lake Victoria, which is the world's second largest freshwater lake that directly supports food, nutrition and economic security to about 2 million people.
We want to have under the docket of roads, public works and transport and housing and urban development, we want to have a promenade along Lake Victoria, because the lake is there but people can't access it. People can't come and relax and just enjoy the beauty of that lake. So that's one component of the blue economy. In terms of agriculture, livestock and fisheries, aquaculture is a big thing that we want to push. In terms of sports, we want to introduce water sports.
This for me is why devolution was mooted in the first place. The ability to bring the best minds into a county like Kisumu and have structured planning for the development of this county.
During the latest meeting with the private sector, Kisumu Governor Professor Anyang' Nyong'o pitched tourism and agri-tech opportunities.
So today's meeting was that we met with the private sector from various walks of life. We did brief them about the Kisumu development up to today and what we are looking into the future and the needs for private sector investments. We went through the economic fundamentals in the county that investors need to know about and capital requirements that will make development possible.
He said the devolved unit was improving investor outcomes through targeted strategies.
For the local economy perspective, the people on the ground are excited to see what will become from the trickle-down effect from big investors coming down to Kisumu County and investing on the various parts of the economy there.
Crossing over to the sporting arena, the Kenya's powerlifter Helen Mawera will be the first Kenyan athlete to take part in the 2020 Paralympic Games, scheduled to begin on the 24th, which happens to be today to the 28th in Tokyo, Japan. The opening ceremony set for today will be beamed live on KBC Channel 1.
Kenya's lone powerlifter Helen Wawira will be the first athlete in the Kenyan contingent to take to the field when she'll participate in the 41 kilograms category on Thursday. Wawira, who received a bipartite invitation, is optimistic of putting up an impressive performance. After Wawira's show, Asia Sururu Mohammed will participate in the PR1 single sculls rowing competition on Friday at Tokyo Sea Forest Waterway. The Kenyan team of 34 athletes will compete in 3 disciplines, namely athletics, rowing and powerlifting. It will be the 12th time Kenya will be participating in the Paralympic Games since their debut at the 1972 Games. Kenya clinched 6 medals, 3 gold, 1 silver and 2 bronze at the previous edition of the Games held in Rio, Brazil 4 years ago.
Now, all the best, Helen, there. And as we mentioned, we're going to be beaming the live broadcast of this particular opening ceremony of the Paralympics Games to be held in Tokyo, Japan, which happens to be today right here on KBC Channel 1. And we tell you, we are your true sports partner. The national men's basketball team, Kenya Morans, will begin its Afro-Basket Championship against Ivory Coast on Wednesday, when the Continental Championship begins in Kigali, Rwanda. Now, Kenya, returning to the championship for the first time in 28 years, will then take on Nigeria on Friday in its second match. Kenya will wind up its Group C matches on Sunday against Mali. Kenya warmed up for the finals by facing 5-time continental champions Senegal on Sunday in the friendly match, which they lost 67-74. Kenya, under the tutelage of Liz Mills, lost by half a basket, 59-50 to Uganda in its second friendly match played on Monday in Kigali, Rwanda. The championship has attracted a total of 16 teams, and it's set to be held between today and September 5th, and will see top 5 nations booking the tickets to the World Championship. Well, it's a wrap. Remember that we are live, and you can get further details in regard to these stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Our website is www.kbc.co.ke, and thank you every person who's been you are following us on our various social media platforms here. We are live on Twitter as well as on YouTube there under KBC Channel 1. So do keep it right here. We have so much in store for you in as far as news as well as topic of discussions, current affairs topic of discussions that are going to be coming up in not too long. But before we get to the nitty-gritty and get into discussing matters of great importance, let's find out how the roads are looking like this morning. Traffic Marshal, to you.
All right, so let's just quickly look at that road that I told you earlier, and this is it. This is actually going to be your focus this morning. Before we go to all that is happening along this specific route, just a quick look on the traffic flow, and perhaps you can begin from Feather Road there. This is one of those roads inside the estates which had also been under what we call the rehabilitation of the roads along this particular route. Just a small stretch in between there as you head over to areas around Nyayo Estate, and just as you get to branch off from that specific area, perhaps coming to the city center, the usual heavy kind of traffic on that specific lane as you come to the CBD, which is quite expected. But again, also this is why Outer Ring Road had been expanded to just reducing the traffic flow therein, and became one of those roads that record high number of death cases because of the lack of the footbridges there. But some of them have been installed, at least as of now. Some have not yet been installed, and this is what I'm telling you all in a short while. Why some of them have not yet been installed, why perhaps it's taking that a bit of a long time for that installation process to be complete. But at least the last one, which was already installed and opened up to the public, is one around Juja Road there. But when it comes to the traffic flow, again, clearly nothing is changing. Heavy kind of traffic on that particular lane as you come to the city center. On the other section, still again, perhaps what you'd expect as you leave areas of Thika Road, Juja Road, Jogo Road there, still coming through Outer Ring as you enjoy into Mombasa Road, moving at a very, very swift pace. And clearly this is why there's that difference in color, which is a clear indicator of just basically what I'm saying there. Also, as you get to branch off to Feather Road as well, not so bad also on that particular stretch, much as there has been a lot of roadworks there in terms of rehabilitating that specific route, which is the Feather Road. Again, from that section there, still as you're coming through Outer Ring, as you head over to the other side of Mombasa Road through Taj Mahal, again moving at a very, very swift pace, barely any kind of heavy traffic. Clearly just trying to show you that perhaps if you're coming from these areas this morning, either going to Mombasa Road or even leaving that specific area through Outer Ring to areas around Juja, Jugo, or even Thika Road, or even Manyanja Road there, this is clearly the best time for you to just leave your houses if at all you're coming to that specific stretch. Again, a clear indicator of why we need not look at any alternative routes, at least as of now, along that route. That is how it's looking like at just 17 minutes past 7 a.m.
Right, and there you have it. So now let's take a look at some of the stories on our local dailies, on the headlines on our local dailies here. And with me, I have got the Star newspaper. On the front page of the Star, lead Raila Mount Kenya campaign, allies tell Uhuru. Lead Raila Mount Kenya campaign, allies tell President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, a section of MP says that the president's silence on his succession plan has triggered confusion and given undue advantage to their rivals. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. And still on that, CS Musheru attacks DP Ruto as DP lashes out at opponents. Now, cracks in the Jubilee administration seem to have reached as crescendo after ICT Cabinet Secretary, that is Joe Musheru, yesterday launched a scathing attack on Deputy President William Ruto. Now, the soft-spoken CS scathingly attacked politicians whom he described as wolves in sheepskin and snake oil salesmen out to hoodwink the youth and the church to gain political power. That is what is there on the front page of the Star, as well as Magoha hunts for Form 1s yet to report to school. Education CS did that in Mombasa, where he rescued two students who scored 350 marks and above but failed to join Form 1 in Mombasa County. And he said that he's going to embark on that process, that is going to send all the students who made it to Form 1 but who are yet to report due to different challenges. All right, there you have it. So, states to administer 150,000 vaccines daily in renewed effort. Now, the Kenya's target to vaccinate at least 10 million people by December might soon materialize. This is after the government received 12 to 70 degrees centigrade freezers in preparation for the eventual rollout of Pfizer vaccine in the country. Remember, the government also received Moderna vaccine yesterday. That is over 880,000 doses from the U.S. government. Still, that's continuing. China also donates 10 billion shillings to buy vaccines for poor countries. This brings to 1 trillion shillings resources so far available for the Gavi COVAX facility. The facility has delivered at least 3 million vaccine doses to Kenya, with more expected this particular week. So that is as far as vaccination and politics is concerned. Jen.
Let's now run through the front page of the Daily Nation very quickly before we get to give you some details. There we have it. Quite a number of stories have been featured here. And we start with the 3 stories here on the header. Number 1, AG fights to keep the 450 billion SGR contract a secret. And this is after 2 petitioners did in letters that were dated the 16th of December 2019 and the 13th of May 2021 wrote to the AG and principal secretaries in the Ministry of Transport and the National Treasury requesting details of the agreement between the Kenyan government and the service providers or third parties involved in the operation of the SGR, which is estimated to have been about 450 billion Kenya shillings. But on the other hand, the AG argues that the petition is frivolous and an abuse of the court processes for not providing any proof of the existence of the request for this information. Should the AG have this way, we might not never get the details of the contract between the Kenyan government and the Chinese firm that was given that particular contract to put up the SGR. Then there is this particular story concerning the police officer who killed Lava in hospital bed, an incident that happened at around 11 a.m. this past Sunday at Njoro Sub-County Hospital, where the patient is said to have gone to the hospital having reported a fractured right leg and several soft tissue injuries, but the said lady Nyambura did not leave at that particular hospital. It is said that she died of the 13 bullet wounds that she was shot by the said Lava. Coming to the main story here on the front page in regards to Raila's big blow. After months of speculation, ODM leader Raila Odinga finally declared that he will be in the race for State House come 2022. But in the same week, he made the announcement. The Court of Appeal, of course, upheld the High Court's decision terming BBI as unconstitutional, and now it is said that the former PM finds himself in a tight spot, and some of these issues are revolving around the executive, the euphoria, and of course the political debt that comes into play. And finally, paying your rent on time or else. There is a whole page here, that is page 11, that looks into the Landlord and Tenants Act. Some amendments have been proposed by MPs, and I will be particular to share with you the details of this particular proposals that are being put forth by our members of parliament. And then, of course, how police foiled Coast terror attack that involved 2 police stations, a busy shopping mall, and a church that were targets of this particular terror attack. We'll be giving you details in a bit. Doreen.
Right, you also have that particular story this morning on the PD, where the police kills Lava, phones his wife, then turns gun on self. Just trying to say that the police constable, that is Bernard Civil, killed Mary Nyambura, who had gone to seek treatment after an earlier bloody fight. Now, we have been witnessing a lot of such stories, especially on the police force. And just in the same breath, there's also an article this morning that highlights what exactly happens in the mind of a killer, because oftentimes, this article just shows that oftentimes these couples who find themselves in these circumstances, the pictures that actually show before that is just a picture of a couple looking happy, very, just looking like they're really doing life well. But then on the flip, we see that one of them has killed the other one of them has shot the other one. So that article just highlights what exactly happens in the mind of a killer. And of course, I'll be very particular to tell you a bit more about that, perhaps just to understand what usually happens and perhaps what transpires there. Away from that, coming to politics, where One Kenya Alliance now gives conditions for Raila deal. We know that there's a meeting set for tomorrow with the OCA leaders, together with the president as well as the ODM chief. But the leaders now say they will seal a pact only if the ODM chief joins their alliance and expresses willingness to back one of them ahead of that tomorrow's crunch talks with the president of next year's general election. Remember that also this forms that crop of leaders that mid this year they had talked about not wanting any form of backing or any form of political endorsement. So what does this mean when they're saying that this will only take place only if the ODM leader joins as an equal partner and agrees to back one of them? That is for next year's general election. Also in the same breath, the president had said that he is only going to support if all these leaders come together and unite. But let me just read a bite from what Edwin Sifuna said in regards to that, is that, have you ever seen a big river like the Nile joining a small stream? Our hands are open to receive them should they wish to join us. ODM. To join us, ODM is a major party that cannot be dictated by smaller entities. So is he referring to this other parties allied to One Kenya Alliance as smaller parties, or what exactly is he talking about? We'll just highlight that in a short while, perhaps when you get to the bigger picture of what this particular article states in regards to that. And also, stop the deception. Musheru tells Ruto this in regards to what the ICT's cabinet secretary was saying yesterday, as he tells youth and church to call out merchants of propaganda. But the deputy president on the flip rebutts, saying that is healthy criticism. Also part of what the ICT CS there said is that the church will be very key to try and shun away these kinds of political leaders who just go to throw away money or speak about matters politics in the church setup. Now, let's come to what perhaps analysts are saying in regards to the Attorney General Paul Kihara, and this comes after that BBI judgment on Friday, which was declared unconstitutional by the Court of Appeal. Yesterday, we saw the AG saying that he is going to appeal that, going to the Supreme Court. But now political analysts and pundits are saying that is it that perhaps he is misadvising the government, given that the government has been losing quite a number of cases over the years, or those that he is advising are just not heeding to his advice? What exactly? And this header just says that AG is now on the spot. This is after a string of court losses by the government there. Now, away from that to matters education right now, of course, as of yesterday, we also saw the CS Education trying to go to various places across the country in a bid to try and ensure that there's that what we call 100% transition to Form 1 there. And yesterday he was at the coast area, whereby we are around that area rather, there's just been only 60%, which does not qualify to what exactly he had been talking about. So just aside from the coast area, which other places perhaps is he planning to visit to ensure that all what he's talking about in regards to that 100% transition will actually come to fruition there? And lastly, the new bill which outlaws spitting, urinating in public spaces. So yes, if you're someone who's accustomed to that, there's now a new bill and their charges and fine. You really want to find out what exactly this is all about and what will be at stake if actually you violate this particular law. Ray.
Now, talking about spitting, but Sasani spitting mistari and dedicated to the GMK crew, we have Wilson Kangatu, Meshak Mboro, Shitandi Simba, all watching from Nairobi area, who say that they never miss to watch in the headlines because we summarize for them what is contained in the newspapers and what is trending. We save them the time. Well, keep the date, save the date. Every morning, Monday through Thursday, we're here, not just give you the details, but also give you an opportunity to interact with us, and also our guests who we bring in to discuss matters, current affairs. So do keep it right here. We'll continue sampling what we have on our various newspapers. You've heard from my colleagues. I have a copy of the Standard with me. Same story, matters of Afghanistan, that is a big dilemma right now. When you look at sports, is how Tusker ended Gor Mahia's dominance. Remember, Gor has been at the top of the league since 2017 until recently there. Then the issue of, gender-based violence. That particular story about the cop and the friend has also found itself on the front page of the Standard this morning. But for further details, we are going to be taking a quick breather, but not right now, in the next 5 minutes or so. So as I was saying, the copy of the Standard: officer shoots girlfriend dead and turns gun on himself, and I want to get into the details, but not before mentioning that cumulatively it has been 10 years that Raila, Kalonzo and Mudavadi have been out of government, as serving as Prime Minister, Vice President and Deputy Prime Minister respectively. As you ponder on that fact, the BBI had 5 slots that were created. 5 slots.
In the executive?
Now, yes, in the BBI. So your guess is as good as mine as we are working towards the general election 2022, and that move by Parliament there to just pass a few bills, as what the governors have said, is that they want this passed because it is of the good of the constituents they represent there. So today, tomorrow, President will host the One Kenya Alliance Chiefs and ODM's Raila in a bid to craft a winning alliance. With the BBI dead, Uhuru's bids at forming a coalition is well cut out. That is what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. As Shitanda Simba as well as Wilson Kangatu say, we summarize for them what is trending. So get on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News. Tell us your feedback. What do you think about what is happening in our political scene?
All right. So this, in terms of politics, in the next hour we'll be talking to, that is Gladys Sholei, who is the woman representative of Uasin Gishu County, and that is Godfrey Osotsi, ANC nominated member of parliament. We are still talking matters politics, and matters politics. Now, top Uhuru Raila allies reject MP's BBI revival. Now, some of the pro-BBI politicians have warned against a push by the parliamentary route to enact law change after the courts scuttled a referendum process. The Star has established that, however, the National Assembly's Constitutional Implementation Committee is to be the focal point for the renewed push to amend the law. So, National Assembly Deputy Majority Whip Mawaka Maori said that the focus must now be on 2022 general election. And Ruto now says that how you will hold him accountable on campaign pledges. The DP and Western leaders and professionals who support his movement agree on a 10-point development agenda. And Ruto said that to faithfully implement the hustlers' economic blueprint, his administration will set up delivery units from the top cascaded to the grassroots level. Now, let's talk about Matters Parties Fund. And ODM hands out 117.2 million shillings to ANC and Wiper. Now, Mudavadi Party says money yet to be wired, but Kalonzo's can neither confirm nor deny. So this is it. The Orange Party has, however, withheld 36 million shillings share for Ford Kenya, which is embroiled in vicious power wars. The money was part of the political parties fund that the party last month agreed to share with its former affiliates. So that is as far as that is confirmed. Well, ANC says that the money has not been wired, but Kalonzo's Wiper can neither confirm nor deny. That is what is politics here on the Star newspaper. But remember, we have got our guest who we are going to delve deeper into this and other political stories in the next hour.
Now, before we get to take a very quick breath, I just want to tie in this particular piece here concerning Raila's fresh headache in 2022 presidential bid after BBI fails, and of course, focusing heavily on the executive positions that were sort of promised to, in the event that the BBI proposal was to sail through. Some of these positions were promised to those who would rally behind Raila Odinga, but given that now, if he does become the president, he will only have the one position of a vice president promised. What does this mean for him moving forward, looking at the Oka principles on one side and of course the Mount Kenya leaders on the other side, who some have expressed hesitancy to support his candidacy for 2022. And on the other hand, we have governors who are now vowing to push for progressive BBI changes, tying to the story that we also had yesterday on the papers concerning MPs who are looking to push 52 clauses from the BBI proposal that will need to sail through without much problems here and there. But we take a very quick breath. I will be back to continue with this particular segment as we let you know what is in the papers today. Stay with us.
the excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the Popos. Huh?
Drama.
Will he assault the Queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
So let's look at that stretch this morning. What is our focus? I had mentioned that our focus this morning is actually going to be what is happening along Outer Ring Road, and this is simply because Outer Ring Road, at least as it still stands, is that road that records the highest number of death cases here in Nairobi, and this came after the road was expanded to what it is right now, at least to make it easy for those that come from that specific area, one of those busy places, busy areas, and that is why that road was expanded to reduce on the traffic flow. But those death cases, most of them were being recorded because there was what we call the lack of those footbridges. That's why we have seen quite a number of them being installed at various areas, designated particular areas along the same route or along the entire stretch. There's still some which have not yet been installed. The latest one to be installed was the one that is just as you near Juja Road there. That is the latest one to be installed along that particular place. But right now, let's just quickly look at the traffic flow there, try to see if at all things have changed or if we might need to look at alternative routes for those that apply this specific route. Like I mentioned, Outer Ring Road is one of those busy areas, busy road, and this is just simply because of the number of estates as well as the number of small and medium scale businesses along this entire stretch. Also, it's very important for me to mention that when that expansion of this particular route was coming along, we obviously saw how some businesses had to be just demolished along that particular area to necessitate or to provide space for the expansion of this route or that entire stretch. Perhaps you can also just begin from the Taj Mall roundabout there as you leave areas of Mombasa Road coming all the way through this particular stretch. Right now things have changed altogether. Traffic being witnessed on both lanes of this stretch. Of course, on both lanes I'm talking about as you leave areas of Mombasa Road coming through that area, which is Taj Mall, via Outer Ring Road as you get to branch off to Manyanja Road there on that section, and also as you go all the way to the Thika Super Highway, and again as you leave areas of Thika Road, Juja Road, Jogo Road, the Donholm roundabout as you come through Outer Ring Road. So that is basically what I'm meaning when I'm talking about on both lanes of this particular stretch. Heavy kind of traffic just actually in between that area as you leave Taj Mall coming through Outer Ring there. On that other section along Feather Road also there was some ongoing roadworks along actually this stretch, which is Feather Road. What had been happening along this route was what we call rehabilitation of this stretch. I believe is still an ongoing process in terms of that road construction there, but as you get to branch off from that Feather Road coming through Outer Ring, at least things have changed there, so we don't also need to look at any alternative routes, at least on this particular stretch, moving at a very, very pretty fast pace. So again, it simply means if at all you're coming from areas around Feather, Nyayo Estate, coming to the city center, clearly again a good time for you to just perhaps leave your houses if you're coming to the city center, and also if at all you're coming from those areas of Thika Super Highway, Jogo Road, Donholm roundabout, perhaps coming through Outer Ring via Feather Road, maybe planning to enjoy into Mombasa Road, again also clearly the best time for you to leave your houses, because clearly as of now also moving at a very, very swift pace, no traffic at all. And again, at least also on that stretch of Outer Ring Road as you come through that stretch before you get to the Donholm roundabout, again clearly moving at a very, very swift pace. So it just looks like perhaps where things are getting thick is before you get to the roundabout there, just on that section before you get to the Donholm roundabout, but also past that area still moving at a very, very swift pace. The same is also being witnessed along Jogo Road, one of those busy roads where you'd expect to see heavy kind of traffic, at least as of now, but clearly right now moving at a very, very fast pace there. And that is how it's looking like in terms of traffic this morning at just 43 minutes past 7 a.m. That is how the roads are looking like. We need not look at any alternative routes, at least as of now. Perhaps in our different links we might need to look at that, but clearly as of now moving at a very fast pace on all these routes that we are focusing on this morning.
Thank you very much, Traffic Marshal A1 Doreen Arange, for that quick update in what is happening on our major roads. So now you know, if you haven't left the comfort of your home and you're headed to the CBD, where we know that 85% of the workstations are right within the CBD, well, you know where the Panya routes are. Now, when you talk about business, we are looking at it's the 21st century, and technology is slowly becoming an integral part of us, not just the way we live our lives, but also how we do business. Joining us this morning on entrepreneurship is Waweru Derito, the CEO of Notify Logistics. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
When you say tech and business, a majority of Kenyans who have shopped online, the question is, where is your shop located?
Yes.
I shop online, and that is a question that I always ask when I go online shopping. That idea of renting a shelf.
Yes.
What influenced that? Is it the question of where do I get you as a shop? Or what led to that?
Well, there's an interesting story behind it. So we actually had, we started a business, my wife and I a while back. And the challenges of running, a purely online shop for us, they were actually real. So we set out to solve her problem. And that's when we realized, maybe there's a gap for small business. We don't have any solution for you when it comes to commercial retail space. And that's when now the idea of Rent-A-Shelf came about. So it was more of trying to plug a hole in a business. Plus, anyway, I agree, everyone wants to know where is the shop located. Can I come interact with the product now? Our online space is still evolving. People still want the comfort to know that they can still reach you somewhere.
Indeed.
So yes, we started solving her problem. We stumbled on another idea. Yes.
I want to go back to the customer, the client.
Yes.
The 21st century client has still not yes, we are shopping online, but there is also a need to physically get your product, get to see where you're getting it from, a supplier, and also get to fit, especially for ladies. You know, we have to fit.
Yes.
Now, this particular gap has been the take up of this particular space when it comes to renting a shop. What has been the uptake?
It's been interesting. It's been interesting, actually. Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, people want to feel the product, you know. And again, we are still evolving, you know, especially this part of the world. We're still getting used to the whole online shopping thing. So, and we've not yet fully embraced online shopping. There's still a lot of doubts. You know, you order something and what you receive, there's a mismatch in
issue
you know,
of quality assurance.
Yes. So yeah, for us, what we're seeing is there's been a significant uptick when it comes to space. People are embracing the idea that yes, when you're buying the whole process of purchasing, people begin consideration online. They see the product online, they're interested, but they want to, you know, to close the deal when they see the actual product. So having a physical shop, you know, gives the business credibility, and you know, that actually increases your sales over time. So yes, our model has actually been working over for the last few years. Yes.
Now, looking at this particular model, is that we're moving e-commerce and going to traditional market, you know, or rather how we do trade. We are marrying the two. There's a gap there. So who are we targeting, or rather, who is your concept targeting?
So for us, we deal mainly with small businesses, the people who cannot afford their own space in town. I can tell you for a fact, 90% of our clients would not have a physical location were it not for us to actually fix that particular gap. And it's the same thing when you think about Uber. And you know, Uber fixed a gap. When I was growing up, taxi business was very expensive. Like hiring a taxi used to be expensive. Nowadays, people in universities, they can afford, you know, a taxi because Uber significantly brought the cost low, and all of a sudden introduced a whole new cohort of users for their services. So for us, our clients would not be in town. Our rates are significantly cheaper. It is way more convenient. We've taken care of the overheads. You don't need to worry about a shop attendant, licenses, and whatnot. So what that did is a lot of small businesses realized that all of a sudden it is actually achievable to have a location where you can now send your clients to come and interact with your product. People who are, you know, they employed white-collar jobs, people who are in white-collar jobs, realize that you can actually run your shop with someone you can trust. It is now not that shop attendant who, you know...
Basically outsourcing.
Yes.
You are outsourcing.
It becomes easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been interesting. We've seen a new cohort of people come into business, and for us, that is what motivates us on a daily basis.
Expansion. What are your future expansions? Because when you're talking about CBD right now. Have you expanded? What are your future plans in as far as expansion is concerned?
The idea is to ramp up our e-commerce capacities. Currently, we are in 4 towns in Nairobi. We're in Nairobi, in Kenya, that is. We're in Nairobi, we're in Mombasa, we're in Nakuru and Eldoret. So the goal for us is to ramp up our e-commerce service delivery so that we can reach a wider audience. But as we do that, we also want to onboard new businesses. We have new programs that are, you know, initially we used to target people who are in business. Now we have programs that are targeting people who want to start a business. And this is more of a training, just to equip and empower you. The gap we feel as a company is we are here to support job creation specifically through entrepreneurship. Yes. And so to enable, you know, that to happen, we need to empower the people who want to start businesses. Because a lot of people, you know, want to start a business, but they shelve the idea because for one reason or the other, maybe you didn't have the time, you didn't have places to source products. And so what you're doing is the whole value chain, bringing it together. People who can help you source products from any corner in the world, people who can ship products, people who will help you to market. You know, it's the whole ecosystem. And making sure that at the very tail end of it, we have a robust e-commerce platform so that you're able to reach your customer more effectively. What that does is it reduces the barriers to entry. More businesses will be created, more jobs will be created directly and indirectly. And I think over time, that will spur the economy.
In layman terms, since we're talking about e-commerce, we can say now you're the web host. You are the host.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But now we're talking about business, so you're the intermediary that you're offering all the services, you know, from the front desk to the back office and such when it comes to the value process. But now the question when it comes to e-commerce and online shopping, one of the issue is quality assurance. So since you're the intermediary, this is where the client comes in to pick the product. In the event that the product is faulty, especially electronics, what I ordered for is not what I get. Who bears the responsibility? Is it you or is it the person who is running the business? What happens at that point?
Fantastic question. You see, the beauty of a model is it's a hybrid model. there is the online bit, but you also have a physical outlet that you can actually come and interact the product before you buy. And what that does is it reassures the client. If it's an electronic product and you want to see it work before you buy, you don't need to pay for it online. Come to our shops, interact with the product. Is it what you imagined? Is it what you were sold? If it is not, you still have the liberty to still walk away. So our model in that regard really reinforces the fact that we are very credible, and our customers, we try to protect them. And unlike other platforms, we have an actual physical outlet where you can come and see the product before you buy it. So what that does is we give the consumer a bit of confidence. And in the event that we deliver a product that is faulty, please return it to us. We will return it to the vendor. They will bear the cost.
So you vet your vendors and you have an agreement in terms of quality assurance?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. We have, we have, there are certain things that you have to adhere to. One is things like KEBS, for example, that if it's a locally manufactured product, it needs to be certified by KEBS. But all these things we do take our vendors through. So if you are a supplier, we'll actually walk you through all the things that the hoops that you need to jump before your products go to our shelves. And the thing is, if something happens, a customer complains and comes back, at least we want to assure them that yes, you have a place where you can actually walk in and complain. And I think that's the beauty of having a hybrid model. Because if it was purely online, all you would have is a number to call and an email to address to send an email complaint to. But we have a place where you can physically walk into and complain.
Now, well, the finance bill, when it came into effect, there's the introduction of the digital service tax. What is your take on that, and how has it impacted your business?
Well, that is very interesting. So first and foremost, as a business person, I think the tax regime, I think over time it's something that we would like to be reviewed, because what it does, it increases the cost of doing business. Currently, what we're saying is, especially for businesses who, as we push more services online, the digital services tax makes things all the more expensive. Now you need to pay for, there's a tax element when you're doing everything from your hosting service provider, when you're dealing with, things like even digital advertising. Now there's the component where now you need to add a bit of tax. And yes, I understand that probably, we need to also chip in, but I think the whole tax thing is something that needs to be reviewed, so that, especially for small businesses exist primarily online. When you start a business, it starts purely online, and then as you grow, then you have the capacity to scale up and go to a retail outlet. So the tax regime needs not to punish the person who is starting a business. We need to support them. We need to give them tax breaks. We need to allow them to scale up without with minimum, especially minimum, tax implications, so they're able to bootstrap and grow. Again, the other thing, that is common to this country is when you start a business, ideally you finance it from your pocket or friends and family. That is usually the predominant source of capital. So it is important that this person who starts a business, we support them, and the government should come in and really, really support them. And what happens is, if you do your business purely online, then the digital service tax, you cannot run away from it, because the providers you're using will actually be the ones to enforce it for you. And all the services, all of a sudden, there is a small bump in cost. But I guess in the long term, I imagine the government anticipates a transfer policy where they tax, but on the other hand they want to make the system more efficient, to make things like registration of a business more efficient, things like when you're claiming a tax refund should be more efficient.
Actually, that's what's coming. I was looking at now from where you sit, and you're a local entrepreneur, and government has really been vocal when saying that it wants to support entrepreneurship. But now, from a local point of view, what would be your comment in the ease of doing business?
I think we have a lot of room to grow in that respect. We do appreciate there are things that nowadays are very easy. When you're
registration of a business.
So those ones,
more or less 48 hours.
Yes, and you do it from the comfort of your house. So that has been streamlined. But I think the ease of doing business goes beyond just registration. It is in everything else. It's making it easy for the entrepreneur to raise capital, for example, making sure that there is available credit lines, making sure that besides the traditional conventional means of going to a bank, I think the Capital Markets Authority need to come up with more products to allow small businesses to actually thrive. And we have seen technologies nowadays, especially in the Western world, where financial technology is evolving. We're allowing businesses to have alternative ways of raising capital. So I think for us, it's empowering small businesses to give them more avenues to raise capital. We need to think of the whole system, to rethink the whole system. Let me give you an example. We have a concept called crowdfunding, which is, it's a fantastic idea when you think about it, and it's actually taken root in the Western world. The whole concept is very simple. It's what we call a harambe in Kenya. It's just bringing many people together, but in the Western world they've managed to commercialize it. Where if I'm starting a business, instead of just asking for friends and family for money in form of a grant, there is a system where now I can, instead of them giving me a grant, they become stakeholders in the company. And the whole process is regulated. So there are regulations around it. There are things I can or cannot do with the money that I receive. And at the end of the day, it does two things. It unlocks capital, but to the person who puts in money, they become an investor. So that becomes like an investment strategy for them, so that if it grows, they also benefit.
Actually, I was reading somewhere, and that is even how the Western world is funding their political campaigns.
Yes.
That is what happens. The charity, the what. But we're not talking about politics. We already get towards our general election come 2022. So in a nutshell, from where you sit, to actually realize this dream, and just today we had a story where the Kisumu County is working on an investment forum to bring people together, and their target now has shifted, not 2030, but now we're going to 2050. So time has passed. Going forward, from where you sit within the value chain, youth and business, what do you think really needs to be done in a nutshell? Give me 3 recommendations that would put across.
One, I'd say that we need to streamline how we avail capital to small businesses. Capital is everything. Without capital, businesses will not grow. That's number one. Number two is capacity building. That we need to, have a way where young people will be taught the value of entrepreneurship from an early age. So it's not a fallback plan. It should be something that is encouraged, especially of the brightest and smartest people that we have around. But there is a disconnect because in the country, the smartest people will normally go for white-collar jobs, and then entrepreneurship is left for the people who have no other viable alternative. That mentality needs to change, that innovation becomes a part of who we are as a people. The third thing I'd really recommend is the government should really support small businesses in terms of at a policy level. That laws, we had the idea that we tax breaks for small companies. That was a brilliant idea. If it's implemented, I can assure you so many small businesses will benefit from it. Why? Because it allows you to grow your business. Nowadays, I think you can only carry forward your losses for 3 years. With a tax break, it means that a small business has the peace of mind to grow the business without having to worry about how do I run away from the taxman. That will encourage them to be more compliant, but it encourages them to grow. And I think, all said and done, this is the only way out of to bring Kenya to to the highs that we had in 2000. It was in 2007, 2012. Yes. Before the
skirmishes, then 2011 we also rose up economically, but where we are right now,
entrepreneurship is the way out.
Now we're getting towards the general election. What is your feel of the political temperatures as you come to a close? From a business point of view, what is your feel?
From a business perspective, I'd say that politics and business are two things that don't mix at all. And it's something that we've already taken into account. We know next year, regardless, we pray for a very peaceful election, but the political temperatures, the higher they go, you realize the business, it's inversely.
Actually, it's an inverse correlation.
Yes.
Where politics goes up, business
goes down. So all we can ask as small businesses is, for our leaders to be cognizant of that fact, that they take us into account. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll heed that advice. So it's up to the small businesses to try and cushion yourself, or then find an industry that is aligned with politics, because even as we say, it's inversely proportional. There are other industries that actually are very directly correlated to that industry. At the end of the day, it's up to a small business to be very innovative, to try and adapt to the environment. But yeah, I'd say the political temperatures, the higher they go, the more we suffer. We get less foreign direct investments, and that trickles down eventually to the small business in the mashinani.
So basically, tunakaa rada.
By the way,
wajipange ama wapangwe.
Kabisa. That is true.
Someone actually said that, and I know we're laughing right now, but it actually changes scope. It changes scope. It changes so much how we interact. I'm sure even we'll be having, but in the next 6-7 months, we'll hear the government or other banks giving a certain directive towards lending.
Yes.
So that usually happens every cycle of every 5 years. I think something needs to change. So take home this morning is that innovation has to be part of our lives, and we need to think outside the box, and that entrepreneurship should not just be left to those people who are seemingly not smart enough to acquire a white collar job. Other economies have done that. Look at Singapore, look at what Taiwan is doing, and even China itself. Think about a niche, or rather a gap, and run with it. We have been speaking to the CEO of Notify Logistics, Waweron Derito. If you've not interacted with that particular company, just think about when you order something online and that person tells you, we have a shelf somewhere you can get your product. That is exactly what Notify Logistics is about. Tech and business on matters of entrepreneurship this morning. I'm Regina Manyara. I wish you a pleasant viewing ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You seem to be very knowledgeable.
Yeah?
You seem to be very knowledgeable on matters of biashara.
Oh, wow.
Hakika ule uamuzi niliochukua kumhusu Badi ulikuwa wa makosa. Najutia kusema la kweli. Haukuwa uamuzi wa busara kabisa.
Tulimalizana mimi na wewe. Sawa. Na sijui kwa nini nifuata hapa.
Nataka kukushukuru kwa kunirudishia sauti yangu.
Ni vizuri mtu kuchukua muda na kufikiria mambo kwa makini.
Wewe, nilikuleta hapa kuja kufanya nini?
Yaani ya maneno ya kujirudia. What type of nonsense is this?
De una forma diferente, de otro modo.
I used to give my support to Madame Lucrezia because she's the mother of Lucio. Now I know that Lucio is very lucky to have you.
But hey, at least all your land is mine now. Let's talk to my lawyer and finish this.
No, not so fast. You're going to have to get Max out of jail, and then I will give you my land.
You always think about others before yourself. And I'm really sorry, but I really think that Mr. Maura is already dead. It's been weeks since he disappeared.
Why are you here in the office of my father?
I am the president of this company now. Did you forget that?
I've decided to give Cesar the Star Zone in exchange for your freedom. You're gonna get out of here soon, Max.
De una forma diferente, de otro modo, nunca igual al de otra gente, respetando tu...
the excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
At 6 minutes past 8, let's see how the same road which you're focusing on is looking like, and we can now begin from the Donholm roundabout. This is specific as you're coming to the city center. Just a quick look on how this route is looking like. Not so bad. Again, it looks like actually what was being done along Outer Ring Road in terms of expansion is really serving its purpose as well, because this was the major reason as to why this road was being expanded, to just reduce on the traffic flow there. And clearly you can also see one of those footbridges there that also was already installed, one around Mtindwa area, what we call the Mtindwa footbridge. Again, also at least along that area, or just around that particular area, no traffic at all. Again, that is also one of the major reasons for the purpose of that footbridge, just reduce on the traffic flow and also reduce on the number of accidents along this route. Clearly moving at a very swift pace past the Donholm roundabout as you come all the way through Outer Ring Road, as you head over to Jogoo Road as well, and also as you head over to Juja Road as well, moving at a very, very, very swift pace. And the beauty is that this is actually on both lanes. So again, also clearly just trying to show us that perhaps we do not need to look at any alternative routes at all along this entire stretch this morning. Like I mentioned, that construction serving its purpose very, very well on major parts along this road, moving at a very fast pace. Where there's really heavy kind of traffic is as you get to branch off to Kangundo Road. This is just as you leave Outer Ring Road stretch on both lanes of that specific route. Heavy kind of traffic there, but away from that route, as you come to what you're focusing on, actually just where there's a bit of a traffic is on specific sections here and there, but majorly moving at a very swift pace throughout the entire Outer Ring Road. And also the same continues up until when you get to Juja Road. There, one of those busy roads as well, no traffic at all. The same also is being witnessed along Jogoo Road, one of those stretches that would expect to see heavy kind of traffic. The same also being witnessed just on some sections here and there where there's a bit of a traffic, but altogether manageable kind of traffic. The same continues also past the same route as you head over to the City Stadium roundabout. I mean, it's quite interesting because in this early morning hour, and majorly along Outer Ring Road, and also on most of these roads that get to branch off through from Outer Ring, oftentimes you really expect to see heavy kind of traffic, given the fact that some of those busy areas, numerous kind of estates, as well as quite a number of businesses, both small scale as well as medium scale. But clearly, as of now, on both lanes of that entire stretch, as you get to branch off to Jogoo as well, to Donholm roundabout, and the other section of Manyanja Road as well, not so bad throughout the entire Outer Ring stretch, in between Thika Road as well as that entire stretch as you head over to Mombasa Road, not so bad, moving at a very, very swift pace. Just like I mentioned, it's just in some sections here and there where there's a bit of a traffic, but altogether manageable kind of traffic. And yes, that's also how it's looking like. Again, just 9 minutes past 8 along Outer Ring Road. That still remains our focus this morning in terms of traffic.
All right, so Let's flip pages and then let's talk about politics. Today being Tuesday, it's people and politics. And with me in studio is Honorable Godfrey Osotsi, ANC nominated Member of Parliament. We are still waiting for Uasin Gishu woman representative, that is Gladys Sholei. If she happens to be here, the show will still continue. If she doesn't, the show will continue as well. Mheshimiwa, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
The first question is, it's now over for BBI. And I remember the last time you were here, you said you were confident that it was going to sail through. What has happened?
Well, it is quite unfortunate that the push to have reforms in form of constitutional amendments has halted following the decision of the Court of Appeal. As you are aware that the High Court made a decision on the same matter, and the proponent of BBI proceeded to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal has made a decision. We have accepted, although we have different opinion on how the judgment should have gone. But I think that is now under the bridge. We have decided to move on as people who supported BBI. BBI was not about an individual or a group of people. It was about Kenyans. And we had quite a number of issues in BBI, which in my view were very good and very progressive proposals for Kenyans. But unfortunately, all those good proposals have died with the BBI. I know there are efforts to try and push through those amendments in Parliament through parliamentary clauses, 52 clauses. I am not sure exactly how they will achieve that, considering that amendment to the Constitution, it is a constitutional requirement that you must have at least 2/3 of members of the National Assembly and the 2/3 of the Senate. I do not think that they will be able to marshal those numbers in Parliament because I think the enthusiasm and excitement has gone down. Especially big parties in Parliament, ODM, and even the present side, and even the Tanga side, which has always opposed any amendment that comes on the floor. So I do not think that the One Kenya Alliance, whose members of Parliament have been pushing for this, I have seen Honorable Mutula Kilonzo, Honorable Sakaja, and Malala trying to push. I do not think they have the necessary numbers to ensure the success of constitutional
But do you even have time for that? Because there must be a time frame.
Now, that's another second issue. The issue of time. You know that we are 11 months to the election. We don't really have time to go through all the processes involved in the constitutional amendment. And again, the court came up with what we call the basic structure doctrine, which implied that any change of the constitution must comply to the basic structure doctrine, which means every time you want to make amendments to the constitution, you must go to court for interpretation on whether you are within the basic structure doctrine or not. So that will remain to be a major challenge to any move to amend the constitution. And I think for me, I think the court may have erred on that, because we need to rely on the provisions of the Constitution. The issue of basic structure doctrine is a new concept to our constitutionalism. And that limits, it's going to limit any push for constitutional amendment, however good it is. So that is going to be a major challenge to those who are pushing for parliamentary initiative. So it's really going to be a tall order, especially considering that Honorable Raila has said that we tried our best
and he's not going to
amend, and now it's time to move on and focus on 2022. So it's going to be very difficult to maneuver through parliamentary initiative without the direct support of Honorable Raila Odinga.
The question is, the AG, Kihara Kariuki, said that he's contemplating to go to the Supreme Court. His argument is that President, being a civil servant, also enjoys that right to initiate, a procedure or a process to amend a constitution. How sure is it that he's going to sail through?
Well, you see now there are some issues that the court came up with, which I think it is good that the Attorney General has to go to the highest court in the land for interpretation and the way forward. And the first issue is the issue raised by the court that the president can be sued. That will require the highest court in the land to interpret and make a decision. The second one was when the court said that IBC was not properly constituted. And that means all the decisions that IBC made, including by-election,
were all unconstitutional.
So that means all those leaders who were elected through by-election are in office illegally. Now, that is going to be a very costly thing, and legally it's going to create a constitutional problem. So those are some of the issues that the AG has to go to the Supreme Court to seek further clarification and interpretation by the Supreme Court. So I think the AG is quite in order to proceed to the Supreme Court. But the political class who are in support of the BBI process led by Honorable Raila Odinga, I don't think we are interested anymore in appealing to the Supreme Court because really we do not have time, and I think we need to focus on the general election, which is 11 months away.
Exactly. Mheshimiwa, BBI, as per the proponents, had some goodies, some good aspects that were in it, but then now it's water under the bridge. So does it mean that all is lost? Talk about the 35% increment to the county, to the revenue, to the county levels, and limitation and the creation of 70 more constituencies. Now that is all gone. So have we lost as a country?
I believe we have lost.
Right.
And we have lost because of political expediency. There are people who fought BBI, not because of the good things that were in BBI, but because they thought that it was Raila Odinga's initiative. So they fought it. And it is not a new thing. You remember even this constitution that we are saying it is the best, we can't amend it. There are people who fought it.
Yeah, way back in 2010.
Honorable William Ruto, who is now behaving holier than thou, led the battalion that tried to shoot down that process. But now he became the beneficiary of what he was fighting. Then we had another initiative again pursued by Honorable Raila, the Okoa Kenya initiative. Again, with the very good ideas it had, it crashed. And then now this BBI process. So there is one constant you see in Raila Odinga. He's always out to bring fundamental reforms, constitutional reforms that benefit the Kenyans. Because we cannot say that the current constitution we have is 100% perfect. We should always seek for ways of making improvements to it. Even the people who opposed the constitutional process in 2010, they said 20% of this document is wrong. But now when they are offered an opportunity to remove the 20% and correct it, they now come and oppose. So it's unfortunate that all the good things that came with BBI are gone. The issue of allocation, increase in allocation of shareable revenue from 15% to 35% is gone.
It's gone.
And that meant empowering the counties.
But is there hope now?
As I said earlier, there is another route of parliamentary initiative. But then there are roadblocks to it. You have heard the court saying basic structure doctrine
must be adhered to.
So if you don't adhere to that, again, we have court cases coming up. So we have a lot of obstacles on the way to constitutional amendments. And then again, the issue of amassing the numbers with all these challenges that we have had with BBI, and I don't think we still have any more emphasis in this process, because even Raila Odinga, who has always been the champion of constitutional reform, has said he's going to move on. And who takes over? I wish if William Ruto was serious about bottom-up approach, now this is his opportunity. Because bottom-up approach cannot work without increased money at the counties. So we want to see him taking up this initiative and saying, now I'm going to drive this. But you see now sitting in there and waiting for Raila Odinga to make a move, and then you come and criticize. I think that's not the leadership we want in this country. We have good things like Youth Commission. They are all gone. We have good things like 7-year tax break.
Exactly.
For the youth. It is all gone. Even the idea of boundary review, it is going to be a constitutional problem very soon. Because, you know, we have 26 constituencies that were declared protected constituencies because they did not meet the population threshold. So they said these constituencies will again be reviewed in the next boundary review. Now, the next boundary review is going to happen in 2024. That will be in the middle of the next parliamentary term because the elections are being held in 2022. So it happening in the middle of the next parliamentary term, it means that some of the elected MPs will have to in those constituencies will have to be declared null and void. Now that's a constitutional crisis. So how BBI was seeking to heal that was it declared, it ring-fenced the 290 constituencies and then added 70 more constituencies so that to achieve that mantra of one man, one vote, one shilling. Now all that is gone. The repercussions are still coming and they are going to be hard. For example, Central Kenya is going to lose quite a number of constituencies. Mathioya is going, Odaya is going, Kieni is going, Mukurueni is going.
There are so many constituencies.
Mbere, I don't know, Mbere North is going. So quite a number of constituencies. Kangema is going. Now, if you go to Coast, again a number of constituencies are going. In fact, a county like Taita Taveta is going to lose like 3 constituencies.
So it means the political leaders have a lot to lose in the whole of this process, more than even the common mwananchi.
Yes, people are saying that Raila Odinga has lost. If you look at Nyanza, Luo Nyanza is not losing a single constituency. He's not losing a single constituency. Rift Valley is losing. Mogocho is going. Marakwet East is going. A constituency there in Pokot is going. So the repercussions of failure of BBI are going to hit harder. And very soon you will see people saying, now what happened?
But were the politicians seeing this happening?
They were not seeing this happen because it was political expediency. Remember, they scandalized BBI so much. They said BBI is a waste of public funds. Why do you bring BBI when we have corona? BBI is for the elites to create positions for themselves. That's what they said. Now, gender balance, gender parity issue.
Yes.
Remember, the Chief Justice had issued an advisory to the president to dissolve parliament.
That is former CJ Maranga.
The president is still holding on to that advisory. He has not acted. And I think maybe the president had not acted because he was thinking that with BBI, it will be able to resolve this problem. Now BBI is gone. Now gender parity problem
back to square one
is still there.
Yeah.
We are going into an election with the same problem, which means the election of 2022 is going to be unconstitutional because we have not handled the issue of gender parity and there is an advisory from the Chief Justice. So we have a problem. So I think those who are at the forefront of opposing this BBI did not think widely and did not think wisely. They were thinking political. They were thinking about so and so is going to get political mileage.
Yes.
And not us. So the best thing is that we derail it. And now it has been derailed.
Yeah.
Another very serious implication is, now we are in the season of coalition building. Coalition building are going to be very difficult now because BBI was to create 5 key positions. The presidency, the deputy president, prime minister and 2 deputies. Now coalitions, parties could coalesce together and somehow make it easy to build a coalition by sharing positions.
And that
but
was
now that is not possible.
That was not bringing to the next question of what are the political implications now?
Now that is one of the major political implications. Because now, for example, the coalitions which are coming up, what do they have to share? They only have the position of
a president, and a deputy president.
And deputy president.
Right.
They cannot even promise people that they will make them ministers because the ministers are going to be outside parliament. So it is going to really be a problem. And I think Ruto, who fought this BBI, he is going to be the first casualty of this. Because for him, look at his setup. Whom can he make a deputy president? Who in his camp has the profile, has the stamina, has the personality of someone who can be a deputy president? Is it Moses Kuria? Is it Rigathi? Is it Kimani Ichung'wah? Is it Ndindi Nyoro? They don't have that profile.
Perhaps they are not interested.
They are not interested. So he will have to get a deputy president, most likely from the Mount Kenya. But who is it? And if he gets a deputy president in Mount Kenya, what happens to the other bases? Like Western, Coast, Nyanza? It's a problem. Now, the same thing applies to One Kenya Alliance. The 4 individuals in One Kenya Alliance, how are they going to share?
How are they going to structure?
One person will get president, another one deputy president. What happens to the others? So it's a problem. But if you look at Raila Odinga's circle, ODM in itself is more like a coalition.
So
it has big wings across the country.
So
we have Oparanya, we have Ojoho, we have...
So we can simply say that BBI going down the drain and court saying that it's null and void was a blessing in disguise for Raila Odinga.
It is a blessing, I want to believe. It is a setback for Raila Odinga, but it's a blessing to him. Because one, let me tell you, the repercussions of not passing this bill is really going to project Raila Odinga as a visionary leader. Because when those people in those constituencies realize that they are going to lose constituencies, whom are they going to blame? They're not going to blame Raila Odinga. They're not going to blame Uhuru Kenyatta. We are going to put the blame on William Ruto and his people. When people realize that the elections of 2022 are going to be unconstitutional because of gender parity issues, whom are they going to blame? They're not going to blame Raila Odinga. they should blame
the opposers.
The opposers.
Yeah.
And the opposers, you know, it is good to oppose, but oppose and give alternatives. Give alternatives. I expected that they would oppose BBI, but tell us that since we have the numbers, we have collected the signatures, we are pushing for this process. Because at least Third Way Alliance tried to do that thing. But them, they didn't do anything. They were fighting the process from the beginning to the end. At some point, they even pretended to be part of the process. Because why was Deputy President and his team going to Bomas of Kenya to join the other Kenyans in receiving the Report 1 and the Report 2? It is because they were believed to be supporting. In fact, even in their planning, in their strategy meetings, they were strategizing based on the outcome of BBI. But during the day, they oppose. So now we are in a situation whereby the aftermath of the BBI failure is going to hit hard on the political class. And we should know where to put the blame.
So who are the biggest losers and winners in this process?
Well, for me, I think the biggest losers are Kenyans. Are Kenyans. Because, for example, Mount Kenya has been pushing for 1 man, 1 vote,
shilling,
1
vote.
shilling. Now, that is not going to work. Because BBI has gone. Kenyans have also been pushing for increased revenue allocation to the counties. You have seen the governors have started crying now. They're saying, no, something has to be done. Let's go back to parliament. But parliament, as I said earlier, is not going to work.
Actually, the council governors legal committee.
Yes, it's not going to work. So then we have gender parity. Our ladies, our women are also the losers, because BBI was giving a platform to try and resolve that problem. Now that is not possible. So we are seeing a situation where the real effects of a loss of BBI is going to come out very clearly in the coming days.
Mheshimiwa, has this exposed President Uhuru Kenyatta? Because BBI, okay, they say that the court ruled that as a president, he could not initiate a process to amend a constitution.
I completely disagree with them. There are so many things that the court said, which I do not agree. I totally don't agree with them. Because the president, yes, is the president, but he also remains to be a citizen of this country.
As an individual.
He is an individual.
Actually, that is what the AG is trying to argue, that as an individual.
He does not lose his citizenship when he becomes the president. He's still the citizen of Kenya. And for him, he does not even have dual citizenship. He has single citizenship. So how can you claim that he has no powers to initiate a process? He has powers to initiate the process. And if you look at the Constitution very clearly, it says the president shall promote national unity. And you know, BBI was as a result of the handshake. A handshake was a process to promote national unity. Now, the president acted in that capacity as the person who has the authority to unite the country, constitutional authority to unite the country. So you can't now turn around and say the president has no powers, has no right. He does not lose his rights as a citizen when he becomes the president.
That again.
But as I said earlier, we respect the decision of the court, but we don't necessarily agree with some of the things they said.
He's lost, quote unquote, in several constituencies. The latest one being in Kiambu County. And now the BBI, which him and President and ODM leader Raila Odinga were the gentlemen in the front line. But now it's all gone. So has this exposed him as we head towards the end of his tenure?
This is not the first time to have setback in the process of constitutional review. Remember, Kibaki also lost the battle for constitutional review in 2005 and still won the election of 2007. Honorable Raila has been consistently been pushing for reforms so that to better the lives of Kenyans. In before 2013, he was pushing for Okoa Kenya. Okoa Kenya again was scuttled by some forces. It didn't go beyond the verification, signature verification process, but it had very good ideas. In fact, some of the things that he in BBI were in Okoa Kenya bill. Then now this BBI. So in terms of being at the forefront of constitutionalism, Raila Odinga has established himself as a brand around there, that he is a leader who is always fighting for reforms. The others only come to benefit. People like William Ruto, they only come to benefit. The same way he was going to benefit from BBI, he benefited from the 2010 constitution that he opposed.
And so now what we're looking at is the positions that they were supposed to be created in the next in the next government. All of them are gone. Give me a picture of how 2022 presidential election would look like, and the coalitions are soon coming up.
If you ask me, I want everyone to go on the ballot. We are wasting each other's time. Let all these One Kenya Alliance guy go on the ballot. Let Kalonzo Musyoka go on the ballot. Let Mudavadi go on the ballot. Let Wetangula go on the ballot. Let Gideon Moi go to the ballot. Let Raila Odinga go to the ballot. Let Ruto go to the ballot. Because we are seeing a lot of blackmail. People, leaders who have no stamina. They have no networks. They have no gravitas. They are now coming and loading it over on other leaders and say, you must support me. This is my time. What have you done on your own? I especially am quite perturbed about what is happening around One Kenya Alliance. Everyone seems to be saying that Raila Odinga cannot win the election. But at the same time, they are expecting Raila Odinga to endorse them. So if they think they have the stamina, let them get to the ballot so that this thing is decided by Kenyans. If you think you have support in your area, we want to see how you demonstrate that support on the ballot.
How would it look like? Because the history of this country is that towards any general election, the last 6 months is always the determinant.
Yes. The good coalitions or true coalitions are going to come, I think, in my view, from January. It's too early. What we are seeing now is what we have always seen in the past, where people are trying to bargain harder. We saw that in ahead of 2002 election, where we had NAK.
NAK was formed.
And then now we had KANU. KANU ended up splitting. The splinter KANU formed Rainbow, and then Rainbow and NAK joined and formed NAK. So that is what we saw. We saw also the ODM Pentagon in 2007 came towards the end, and we saw NASA also came around May 2017, just 3 months to the election. So I think the true coalitions are going to come from January. Right now we are seeing, what we are seeing is a political posturing, which this time round it is being accompanied by political blackmail. Blackmail directed at largely Raila Odinga, that you must stop vying, you must support us, and all this. So I find that to be a bit quite interesting, and that's why, in my view, is that If the situation continues the way it's going on, let everyone go to the ballot and
fight it there.
Fight it there and see your weight, rather than trying to blackmail another leader that he should support you. And yet, if you look at your own strength, it is limited.
Yeah. Let's talk about the IEBC. The court ruled that that IEBC, as it was constituted, was not properly constituted to run an election. Is Chebukati and the team ready for next general election? Of course, the 4 positions have been filled, but according to the court ruling, does that nullify them as a properly constituted body to run the next general election right now?
Not really. President has submitted the names of commissioners to Parliament. And I think very soon we are going to be called to Parliament to go, and the vetting actually is starting today. And then we'll be called to Parliament to...
The vetting of the 4 commissioners?
Yes.
All right.
They will called, after that, the committee will do a report. We'll be called to go and approve them. Now, once we approve them, they are sworn in by the president, then they automatically now take over their position. So now that means the quorum issue will be resolved. But we must look at the past decisions made by IEBC.
Yes.
From when the quorum problem started. It means those decisions are now null and void.
In question, right.
And that is why the AG has to go to the Supreme Court to ask for the interpretation of that ruling and guidance by the Supreme Court. But I see a serious constitutional problem coming through, because it means all policy decision, all by-elections that have been conducted by IEBC are now null and void. Policy decision, including policy decision that involve preparedness towards 2022 election, procurement decision, decisions involving how prepared are we to the election, all that will be null and void. And I think that is going to further complicate the preparedness of IEBC for 2022 election.
All right. Let's take a break, and when we come back, let's talk about the issue of public participation, which was raised by the courts, that there was no proper public participation in the whole of this process of BBI. That is when we come back, and so much more with Honorable Godfrey Osotsi. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Get Nissin Creed as your skiza tune, dial *811*963#.
We believe in one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth and all that is seen and unseen. We believe in one Lord, Jesus Christ, the only Son of God, eternally begotten of the Father, God from God, light from light, true God from true God.
To get Nissin Creed as your skiza tune, dial *811*963#, *811*963#.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
Love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the popos. Huh?
Drama.
Will you assault the queen in my house, in my presence?
News. sports, and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1. Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
I love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the Popos. Huh?
Drama.
Did he assault the Queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports, and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
And welcome back. Still here with me is Honorable Godfrey Ososi of ANC Party. Still going on with our debate here. We are just trying to get to the details of the BBI and now what's now left for us moving forward. Now the question is, Mheshimiwa, you said BBI is now water under the bridge. So is this a precursor to 2022? What we should expect?
Now, what the decision of BBI has simply said that let's now focus on 2022.
Yeah.
You have seen that Honorable Raila has now said he has moved on. He's now focusing on 2022. And I think that's what we need to do now. Despite the fact that BBI failure is going to come up with its own effects, political effects. We want to see everyone now focusing on 2022, planning and mobilizing people, strategizing, and also the country generally preparing for a free and fair election. We want to see the commissioners who are now going to join the commission. They need to work day and night to ensure that we have smooth and flawless election in 2022.
Yeah. And now the question of we saw a situation where the court said that there was no proper public participation.
Yes.
It is something that was discussed from the word go, that proper public participation was not taken care of during the BBI process. But here we went through the courts, through the county assemblies, went to the parliament, went to President Kenyatta. Why was the court saying that proper public participation was not taken care of?
Well, those are some of the decisions I disagree with the courts when they say there was no proper public participation. Because we saw that the BBI task force went all over the country. The first round, they went through 47 counties, and then they came up with a report. That report went through a validation process that the various publics were involved, and then we also had a session at KICC where various groups, including judiciary, presented their views and memorandums. And then after that, it went through county assemblies, it went through National Assembly, which is the only body mandated to make laws in this country. The National Assembly and the Senate. And then now it went, it was now supposed to go into referendum before we get this. So when the court says that there was no public participation, maybe they wanted the constitution as assemblies, like what happened with Bomas of Kenya during 2010 constitutional making process. So I disagree with them when they say there was no adequate public participation.
Yeah. Is there another way apart from parliamentary procedure? Probably maybe 1, 2 or 3 clauses to be amended at Parliament instead of the 52, because according to the proposals, there are 52 clauses that can go through Parliament to be amended. Issues to do with the delimitations of the boundaries, the allocation of revenue allocation, and all that. 2 or 3 that can pass through Parliament.
You see, there are two things that you need to look at when you are amending the Constitution through Parliament. One, we have provisions which require referendum. For example, if you want to amend anything to do with Bill of Rights, independence of judiciary, structure of government, things to do with the Constitutional Commission, you need to go through a referendum. But there are other things which you don't need to go through a referendum. For example, amending to increase revenue allocation from 15% to 35%, you don't need a referendum. But as I said earlier, the courts have now come up with what we call the basic structured doctrine, which basically means that every time you want to do a constitutional amendment, even through Parliament, you have to ask yourself whether you comply to basic structure doctrine. That means you have to go to court to seek the interpretation. Now, that is where the problem is. And considering that we don't have time, we have 11 months before the election. That brings a challenge. The other thing is the numbers. 236 members of Parliament, National Assembly, must support the amendment. I don't see that happening. With the current political setup of Parliament, I do not see that happening. And as I said, if Raila Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta are not driving the initiative, then you can consider it as dead on arrival. Because the One Kenya Alliance leaders, they don't have the political strength in Parliament to push through constitutional amendment. And there we have Tanga team of Ruto who are waiting to pounce on any thing that they think they are not in control. So we are not going to see a situation where we are going to have harmony in the House to push through the constitutional amendment with the right numbers.
Can it be seen as a trap? Not going to Parliament, not going to the Supreme Court, just leaving the whole process as it is. Could it be a trap? Just to wait and see what happens.
That is why I was saying those who celebrated, I think they celebrated too early. Wait until the effects of failure of BBI start hitting.
What's the political strategy in the whole of that process now?
I don't think they had any political strategy. Their only motivation was to make sure BBI fails, so that Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta are seen to have failed. That was their motivation. They didn't look at the substance of what was being proposed. And the reasoning behind it. For example, when we talk about constituencies, it's really going to be a big problem. When we talk about gender parity, it's really going to be a constitutional problem. What solution is Tanga going to give? They have no solution. I expected Honorable Sholei to be here so that I question her, because she's a legal advisor of the Deputy President. That now with this current situation, how is Deputy President, who claims to be ahead of everyone, going to help us solve the gender parity problem? How is he going to help us solve the problem, the danger we are facing on scrapping of constituencies? Now, this is a time to demonstrate leadership. And if I was Raila Odinga, I will completely stay away, watch things from far, and see how the other leaders are going to deal with this issue. Because he has dealt with the issue, and the same people who are going to be beneficiaries are the ones leading the onslaught against him. So I stay away and see how they are going to demonstrate leadership. And if they don't demonstrate leadership, then we will know that these guys are not ripe to be leaders of this country.
It has taken almost over 20 times to amend the constitution. But anytime that we have got the Punguza Mzigo, the Okoa Kenya, and now got the BBI, and anytime they come up with these ideas, it flops. Why are Kenyans not ready to amend the constitution 11 years later?
Kenyans are ready to amend the constitution because surely, first of all, in 2010 we say 20% of the document is wrong. And we said we'll get an opportunity. There was a consensus between the people who supported and those who were against. The only difference was that the people who were against said, let us amend now. And the people who are supporting said, we will amend later. Now, the people who said, let us amend it now, are now saying no amendments. The people who said, let us amend it later, have been trying to look for avenues of fixing the 20%. They tried to do it through Okoa Kenya. It didn't, of course, it was fought. You remember someone was drawing a picture of a cow as a signature. That thing was fought. It collapsed. Now, with BBI again, it has been fought. It has collapsed. But as I said earlier, I think experience is the best teacher. Let us see what is going to happen in the coming days as we digest the failure of BBI. Personally, I have moved on. I was one of the champions of BBI. I have moved on.
You have moved
because
on.
I come from a county where without increase in shareable revenue, our county may shut down, Vihiga County, because we are having that issues with the budgetary issues, pending bill issues, and such counties who are going to benefit from increased revenue. We also have a constituency called Vihiga, which is going, and probably a Mohaya also, which is going. So BBI was going to help us to deal with those issues.
Could it be the reason why the Council of Governors are proposing that they move to Parliament to amend the parts of the Constitution? Because if you look at it, the 35% was going to benefit the counties in a very big way.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, ironically, the people who fought the Constitution, even that increase, you had Sholei last time she was here. She was saying even this increase to 35% is hollow, is nothing. The people who fought that are the same ones who are telling us about bottom-up approach. So how are they going to finance bottom-up approach if there is no money in the bottom? There is no money in the bottom. How are you going to finance it? You can only finance it through things like Water Development Fund, things like increased revenue share at the counties, and increased investment in the grassroots. So they keep on telling us about bottom-up approach, but they are not telling us how the bottom is going to be financed. Where are you going to get the capital investment for bottom so that you achieve bottom-up approach? Because my understanding is that the bottom-up approach is that the counties or even the constituencies, even the wards will generate own revenue, which will be used to sustain the national government. But now, if there is no investment, capital investment in the bottom, then there is no bottom-up approach. So they're being dishonest in everything they do. They don't tell us about the content of bottom-up approach. At the same time, they are fighting policies which are supposed to support the bottom-up approach.
But is there hope now for this country moving forward?
Well, the hope that we have is that we have 11 months to the election. And now that we have 11 months to the election, I think Kenyans must vote wisely and vote for a leader who is going to bring the reforms that we want as a country. A leader who is going to help us solve the gender parity issue, a leader who is going to help us solve challenges of the constituency, and a leader who is going to put us on a reform path, genuine reform path. And I don't see that in Deputy President William Ruto. In fact, I have a feeling that he fought this constitution so that the powers of the president are not diluted. So that when he becomes the president, he has total powers. And he can become a dictator anytime he wants to. Because BBI was going to spread the powers to the prime minister, to the 2 deputies. But now, we are going to have an imperial president in 2022. So
back to the
Kenyans, the only hope is that we have an opportunity on the 9th of August to elect a president who will genuinely lead this country and deliver us to the promised land. I do not see that in William Ruto. I do not see that in the other pretenders for presidency. You know, everyone now, all of a sudden is talking about economy. But these guys have been in government. Some of them have held finance minister's position. Why didn't they implement these ideas they're talking about? Why? They didn't bring the reforms they're talking about. And now everyone seems to be talking about how I will do this, how I'll do this. And they have not been known to be reformers in the first place. Have not been known to be reformers.
Mheshimiwa, it's like the failure of BBI to see it through has now left heads rolling, literally, in the political circle.
Yes, everyone now is wondering what to do next. As I said, even coalition building is going to be a bit complex to develop coalitions without the 5 positions that were invested in the BBI. And now we have 2 positions. So if you have like 4 or 5 individuals coming together, it means only 2 will get the 2 positions, and then the rest, maybe you promise them ministerial positions, CS positions, which is not guaranteed because they are appointed positions. You can be sacked anytime. So it's really going to be a challenge, and that's why I say that for me, with the current confusion we have, and as far as coalition building is concerned, if we get to around February there, and there is no light at the end of the tunnel, let everyone go to the ballot, including the pretenders to the throne. Let them go to the ballot, let Kenyans decide. Some of these people are biting bigger than they can chew. When you find, for example, someone like my friend Weta, when he tells Raila Odinga that we are equals, and he has 11 members of parliament, and Raila has over 100 members of parliament, really? We cannot be equals.
That's a political language.
That's
a political language. What do you expect from President Uhuru Kenyatta moving forward? Now that BBI is gone, his hands, somebody can say that his hands are now free. What should we expect? A more re-energized president, hands-on, you know, with 11 months to go? What are we likely to see from him?
For me, let me be brutally honest. I saw the president talking yesterday and telling his deputy to resign. I think the president needs to do more than that. Because clearly, we have a deputy president who has run rogue. We have a deputy president who does not respect the president. We have a deputy president who is running a parallel government to the president. We have a deputy president who does not even adhere to government policy, even on COVID-19. He's holding rallies, He's meeting people in government installation, violating COVID-19 protocol. I think the president needs to do more than just telling his deputy to resign. Deputy president still has a half share of the government. Most of the ministers, CSS, he appointed, he proposed for appointment, are still in government. Most of the principal secretaries that he recommended for appointment are still in government. Most of the parastatal chiefs he recommended for appointment are still in government. And yet, he is not ready to work with his boss. So the president, I think, is being unfair to Kenyans by taking too long to act. He needs to act. You remember in 2005, after the referendum loss, President Kibaki sacked everyone.
The entire cabinet.
Yes, including Raila Odinga. And he reconstituted the cabinet. That is what President Uhuru needs to do. I think it is quite unfortunate when he comes to us and tells us that the decision is the deputy president's decision. Kenyans never voted for Ruto. Kenyans voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. Because Uhuru, they never voted for deputy president. They voted for the president. So, and I think he needs to act. One way or another, he needs to act.
In one way or another, he needs to act. But then now, in his political muscle, are we likely to see that president going out there and facing the people and saying, this is me, my track record is this one, 2022 is going to be so different?
No, if he doesn't do that, then he's in for many surprises. Because you never know what is going to happen next. You never know what is going to happen next with what is happening with Ruto. He has his own economic model. He is no longer talking about government, but when it suits him, he says, us in government, we have done this and this. When it doesn't suit him, he now lumps it on Raila Odinga as the distractor, as the person who has come to distract the Jubilee government from its manifesto. So really we are dealing with a very dishonest individual.
The question here is on the front page of the Star, they said that lead Raila Mount Kenya campaign, even as that is happening. They started a tour. Honorable Raila alluded that they were going to start a tour with the president himself. And now that the BBI is out of the way, and 2022 elections is here, what are we likely to see in terms of the two gentlemen now moving forward as a team?
Well, I've not read the Star newspaper today.
He said that lead Mount Kenya, Raila Mount Kenya campaign, allies tell Uhuru. A section of MP says that President Kenyatta's silence on his succession plan has triggered confusion and given undue advantage to their rivals.
Well, let me tell you one thing. The handshake was between two people, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. I want to be brutally honest that Raila Odinga has done part of his bargain. He has consistently been focused on the handshake to the extent that some people think that he has lost his ideological leaning that he has always had. Honorable Raila has consistently pushed for what they agreed with Uhuru Kenyatta. One of it being BBI. And he has even taken Uhuru Kenyatta to Nyanza backyard so many times. So what remains is for Uhuru Kenyatta now to do the same. And the sooner he does that, the better. But again, I want to castigate the narrative that is building up that Mount Kenya is everything for Kenya. That you need Mount Kenya so that you do this and this. I don't think that is the right narrative to sell in this country. I have seen the members, leaders in that region trying to push that agenda, that without them, nothing will happen in this country. I don't think that is the right way to manage this country. We need to think as a collective nation. We need to think as a one Kenya. We should not think in terms of region and say this region is more critical than this. And for Raila Odinga, he has won elections 3 times. We know what happened in 2007. We know what happened in 2013. And we know what happened in 2017. And he has won an election without the Mount Kenya vote. That is the truth. So this mantra that it must be Mount Kenya pushing this agenda for one to get leadership, I don't think that is right. We should think as Kenyans, and I see the danger of it is that then the rest of the country will unite against what you are trying to oppose. All of a sudden, I hear colleagues say you cannot elect Raila Odinga in Mount Kenya because he's unwanted. And then I asked Wahome one time on a TV show like this, give me one fundamental thing that William Ruto has done in Mount Kenya that is making you guys troop to his side. She could not tell me anything. And I told her that for Raila Odinga, the economic freedom that is being enjoyed in this country, and particularly in Mount Kenya, he is the force behind it. He fought alongside Matiba, alongside Rubia, alongside Paul Muite, to bring the freedom that is being enjoyed in Mount Kenya. So you cannot compare such a person with someone who was busy looting this country in Kano, being part of the tormenting team against Mount Kenya. Now that is the person you are embracing and saying this is our savior. But the person who fought for reforms, the person who fought for freedom, you are now looking at him as a devil. I think that is not proper, that is not ethical, and I think leaders in Central and Mount Kenya region, they have something to answer in future to their offspring, that what decision did you make when you are in leadership? Because all of a sudden, Central Kenya that has been known to have a culture, enterprising culture, progressive culture, is now being taught to be hustlers, to be people who have no hope, to be people who are now looking at those who have, and they are they're seeming to be angry about them. So that is not the culture that the region has been used to, and that is crippling in because of the politics. The current crop of leaders is trying to inject into the people. So for me, I think the narrative that Mount Kenya means everything is a misplaced narrative, and is something that should not be encouraged at all.
Mheshimiwa, allow us to end on that particular point. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to Honorable Godfrey Sotsi. Today it was one-on-one, all right? One man show. Thank you so much for taking your time. We are not yet done yet. We are taking a very short break, and when we come back, we still have got much more on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hakika ule uamuzi ndio chukua kumhusu Badi ulikuwa wa makosa. Najutia kusema la kweli. Haukuwa uamuzi wa busara kabisa.
Tulimalizana mimi na wewe. Sawa. Na sijui kwa nini nifuata hapa.
Nataka kukushukuru kwa kunirudishia sauti yangu.
Ni vizuri mtu kuchukua muda na kufikiria mambo kwa makini.
Wewe, nilikuleta hapa kuja kufanya nini?
Yaani ya maneno ya kujirudia. What type of nonsense is this?
Have some water.
You humble slave! How dare you give him water? Without my permission, nobody can feed him anything.
What a beautiful young girl. Today, we don't want just your money.
Let go of me! Let go of me! Stop it!
General Bai Li and I are good friends. If you don't mind my humble little abode, why don't you stay with my family and I for a while?
All right.
Good. Then let's go. Faye, you can't go. The plague's infectious. However strong you are, you could die from the plague at any time.
The excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
In the quiet corners of this crowded slum, Kibera, 17-year-old Anne Mwende, not her real name, has been forced into adulthood with responsibilities beyond her years.
Nilikuwa na uhusiano wa boyfriend after kumaliza class 8 ndo kapata ball.
Pregnancy denied her enjoyment of her teen life.
Nilijua masomo yangu imeisha hivyo. Sitaienda tena. Nikasema hivyo tu ndo vile imeisha. Sasa vile nimepata ball zilipua fi.
Her life took a U-turn.
Niko na hope maisha yangu itachange.
She was prepared for the worst anyway.
Mi Kenya tunasema nirudi shule, nimalize shule, then nitafute job ama nisome kitu yenye naweza fanya.
Her mother is supportive of her dreams, but she tells me the community will never let her be.
Watu ukaa chini, wana discuss maisha yako. Wakisema hivyo ndo vile maisha yangu imeisha, stai kaa tena na wasichana wengine wadogo, nishakuwa mama.
Anne is remorseful for her actions, and all she appeals for is a second chance in life.
Sitarudia mama, anilipie tu fee nimalize. Sitarudia kosa kama hilo, nisha learn lesson. Sizifanya kitu kama hiyo tena.
Life has not been easy either for Anastasia Akelo, not her real name. She lives in Kisumu Ndogo in Kibera slums, Nairobi. She is 16 and already has a 6-month-old son.
I gave birth on the 30th of November last year. I had a relationship with a young guy who was in college. And that time I had joined Form 1 on that 3rd month.
The obtaining situation forced her to drop out of school.
I told him first, but he didn't understand me. He was just wanted me to just about the baby because he was not financially stable. And my mom didn't want to see me at that time too.
Anastasia says she is struggling to feed her child every day.
I can't see my life again. Yeah. And sometimes I would wish if my father would be alive, maybe he would support me in life. Yeah. And I didn't expect to give birth at this age. I wanted one day to become someone important in life.
Anastasia's neighbor, Beatrice Alo, is 20. She has a 5-year-old son. She gave birth at the age of 15.
Maisha kaanza kuwa ngumu. Au marafiki zangu pia wakanitoroka. Wenye nilikuwa nao wazazi wao wakasema wasitembee na mimi, nimepata mimba na bado mimi ni mdogo na bado niko shule. So hata pia mwenyewe nilikuwa naogopa hata kutembea nao. Najificha tu kwa nyumba. So hata kueleza wazazi wangu ilikuwa yani kuwafia hata kuambia kitu tunataka ilikuwa shida. Sasa mzazi wangu babangu sana alikuwa mkali sana.
It's often described as the most changing experience that a woman can have, but for Beatrice, motherhood may have come too soon.
So ilikuwa ngumu, niko tu kwa nyumba peke yangu. So ikafika siku nienda kuzaa. Hiyo kwenda kuzaa nikaanza na operation, so shida ilikuwa ngumu. Hakuna mtu akushughulikia mtoto. Mama wangu saa nyingine anaenda hizi kazi za kufua, anarudi anishughulikie.
She will never regret these tender moments with her son, but Beatrice may long for the care for a young girl like her.
Nikajikubali, nimekuja nikamwambia mama wangu, nimekubali mtoto ni wangu. Hata kama watu watanitusi, nitajikubali. Meya anaona ananitusi hata kama ni mwanaume ananitolewa kwa sababu niko na mtoto, nimekubali nitakaa na mtoto wangu. As long as nimeshakubali mimi ni mama, nitaishi na mtoto wangu, nita struggle na yeye.
Discrimination and stigma meted upon teen mothers, for instance, cost the future of this middle-aged woman, Judith Shitabule. She was 16 when she discovered she was pregnant with her first child.
Sasa ikabidi tu mamangu ndiye ameshughulika kila kitu. Then mimi conscience yangu naambia na sini fulani alinidraga kanifanyia hivi, I'll just go back to him. Mimi nikaenda kumtafuta wakati sasa nimekuwa na afya njema, sasa mtoto hata ameanza kukaa. Kaenda kumtafuta, nikamuuliza wewe, na vile nilifika tu hivi akaniambia I'm sorry, nilifanya vibaya, but I want my child.
Shitabule's ambition of becoming a nurse evaporated.
Mimi ndio huyu huku, mimba ndio hiyo, mimi naona tu tumbo imegrow, lakini sijajua ni. So my neighbors wale wa nyumbani sasa, na unajua wote tu ni relatives, wakasema aku mtoto sangeenda tu university, na unajua sasa ni vile my family is ile humble background, sasa wangeweza hata kunipeleka hiyo parallel.
Social consequences for pregnant adolescents may include stigma, rejection or violence. This may well jeopardize girls' future education.
It should not be the end ya maisha ya mtu. Inazima tu ufocus na ujue tu ni nini ulitaka. Unajua vitu mingi zimeweza kuwaste hata wa mama wengi, ni kwamba sasa kama mimi vile nilizaa mapema, ikabidi niolewe mapema, na ikabidi tena nitoke huko. Kitu yenye huwa inapoteza watu wengi, wakishatoka huko wanaona tena wapate bwana mwingine.
According to the World Health Organization, pregnancy and childbirth complications are the leading cause of death among girls aged 15 to 19 years globally, with low and middle income countries accounting for 99% of global maternal deaths of women aged 15 to 49 years. However, a team from the Polycom Development Organization in Kibera is leading a campaign to raise awareness about teenage pregnancy and family planning.
We have so many girls, teenage girls, who have become pregnant in this community, and the COVID situation worsened it because many kids were at home, and because most of their parents lost their jobs and everybody was at home, then the small house becomes too congested for everybody. So most of them would seek for places to feel free, and mostly they got into men's houses, mostly men who were single, and they became pregnant.
Jen Anyango, the Polycom team leader, laments that some families refuse to break with tradition, making their work difficult.
If these kids are not protected, they're going to have more kids. Because some of them have had their kids because, in exchange for something.
People from slums like this one are more likely to have children at their younger age. This not only cuts into their own incomes, but also earning potential of their country.
The government should own up. The girls even go for their, we call it prenatal clinics. So from there, the support should be there until they are adults.
The World Health Organization estimates that about 21 million girls aged between 15 and 19 years in developing regions become pregnant every year, and approximately 12 million of them give birth. Adolescents who may want to avoid pregnancies may not be able to do so due to knowledge gaps and misconceptions on where to obtain contraceptive methods and how to use them. The few cases are among the growing statistics of teenage mothers whose destinies have gone down the drain. Stigma is playing a greater role in destroying the future of these girls. Where will the help come from? Purity Musel in
manufacturing. All right, and welcome back. We're just having a conversation here with the Director Governance and Administration in the County Government of Kisumu. He's called Leonard Kwama. We've just had off-air discussion just to understand what governance and administration is all about in the counties. Leonard, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
That was a lengthy discussion. I wish you all captured what we talked about. It's just in plenty, but we are going to tell you more on that. First of all, tell me, you are the Director of Governance and Administration in the County Government of Kisumu.
Yes.
First of all, I'm giving you 1 second to salimia watu wa Kisumu in Dhuluo.
Jo Kisumu oyaoreuru.
Tichire. Camera 5.
Tichire.
All right. Thank you so much. You just said that's Inglo. Erokamana means thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Now you got it. Yeah. So, Leonard, let's talk about the issue and the advantages and the purpose of having governance and administration in the county level. The issue of county governments in the new dispensation of the Constitution, we can all attest to the importance and the role and how governance and county governments have stood to make sure that all the procedures and talk of development is taken care of pretty well in this particular country. But in specific, what is your role as the Director of Governance and Administration in the county government?
Now, in the county government of Kisumu,
yes,
the Directorate of Governance and Administration basically coordinates county government projects up to the village level.
Yeah.
And within that space, we have administrators all the way from the county. Then we have the sub-county. In Kisumu, we have 7 sub-counties, formerly constituencies. So in every sub-county, we have the head called the sub-county administrator, like a DC. So just below the DC, the sub-county administrator, we have the ward administrator. In Kisumu, we have 35 wards. So every ward has a ward administrator. That is the governance structure, the administration structure under county government. So just below the ward administrators, we have village administrators, like the chiefs that we have under national government. Yeah, if you look at Article 174 and 175 of the Constitution of Kenya allows for the creation of these positions at the county level. And again, if you look at the County Government Act, Section 52, subsection 1, also allows the creation of the village units. So once you have this structure, it helps you coordinate county government projects based on the devolved units that are there at the county level, from water, agriculture, health, all these. The projects are at the village level because we're saying every part of Kisumu County is within some village. So we need to look at what are the projects that are in your village. You know, initially we used to have public participation, but you'll find that you go to public participation, but some community somewhere were not well represented in that public participation. So you'll see development leaning towards one side. So what we are saying in Kisumu is we want a balanced development structure that ensures that every part of Kisumu County is developed, irrespective whether you voted for the governor or not. So what the village administrators are supposed to do is to take data for all these devolved units. So they have 5 main basic roles that they do at the village level. One of them is water, for example. So we are saying that in every community, every home needs to have accessible to clean water. So if in your village, you need to get data. What is the nearest water point in your village? How many are they? Are these water points connected to the community? You need to give us that data. It helps the department to plan that in this village or in this sub-county, the water reach out to the community is at what percent.
But do people really understand the role of administrators in the county government?
One of the things that we need to understand is that we need to do more sensitization to our people, because this is something, devolution is new. Many people only see the governor as devolution.
But as the head of devolved unit.
Yes,
exactly.
So what we are trying to do in Kisumu is to ensure that we do so many sensitization activities to share with the people that, you see, under national government, this is the way it is being done. But there's some departments that now you cannot go to national government for help. There are some departments that are devolved to the county government, managed at the county level. Now, that is where now the discussion starts. So as that goes on, these other programs of setting up the structure also continues. So people understand. I think in the whole country, I think it's Makueni and Kisumu that now have a complete administration structure. And that's why every time you look at what is happening in Makueni, they're always ahead of the pack. Because service delivery is to the common mwananchi. Development is balanced in the whole county.
It is provided for in the Constitution for the creation of these positions. But why is it that it's only Kisumu and Makueni that have created these positions, and yet we are in 11th year of the new dispensation?
You know, every county thinks differently. If you want services to reach out to every common man, you strategize differently. There are some who may not even know that these things exist in the Constitution.
Perhaps, yes.
There are some counties who do not know. There are some who knows, but they still do not know how do we go about it. Because it's a process. It's not something that you wake up and say, today we are going to advertise for positions of village administrators. No, it's a process. You have to do public participation. There are some bills that must be passed in the assembly that allows the county public service board to do advertisement and recruitment of these officers. So it's a process. So some have started, but they've halted somewhere because they didn't follow due diligence and the procedures that are required for these things to be done. So that is the difference. So it is, for us who have done it, we are seeing the support we are getting from the people. People are feeling that the services are reaching out to them.
My colleague says that certain counties have not put in the basic structure. That's the new word for the courts last week. The basic structure. All right. It means that the role of governors and administrators is not widely understood.
Yes. That's why you find that in most counties, actually, they've not created that directorate. But it's a very key directorate in the governance of a county.
Give me a scenario of your day-to-day work.
Now,
as an individual, your day-to-day work as an administrator in the county government. What is your day-to-day work, and who do you report to directly?
Now, as a director in charge of governance and administration, I report to the county secretary. Now, I coordinate all the departments within the county. So that means I need to know what is happening in every department. So you'll find that you wake up, Department of Agriculture have got this function. You need to know what function is it. Department of Water have got this function. What is the function? Then you cascade this to your administrators to know that there's something going on in water. Maybe some officers are coming to your sub-county. There's a launch of this water project. So everybody must be kept on toes on the happenings within Kisumu County. We also have donors, and I'm also the point of contact for donor-funded projects. So sometimes we have meetings with the donors to see what do they have that they want to bring to Kisumu, what are the opportunities in Kisumu that they can tap into. So there's a lot that we do on a daily basis to ensure that...
It's like a lot of work for one person.
Yeah, that's why you have administration in the office. It's a directorate. It's not just a one-man show. It's a directorate with officers within. So there's some that are delegated. You know, you can also not do everything. There are some that are delegated. So, but all in all, we ensure that every department's voice is heard up to the village level. Yeah. So. When you look at what our administrators are doing, just like I said, that the main roles of these administrators is basically to look at the devolved departments to the county level. So they ensure that water, agriculture, waste management, these things are reported. And we've created another department in the county government called Data and Statistics. Data and Statistics basically picks information from the village level, so that when you want to make a decision in a village, you contact the Department of Data and Statistics so that they help you know. You want to take seedlings to this village, how many homes are there?
How important is this docket?
Administration?
Yes.
Actually, administration is the engine.
It is the engine?
It is the engine of any devolved governance structure. Because if you don't have it, then one, you will not have, the people will not get communication on what is happening in the counties. Number two, departments don't work alone. There is integration. Department of Agriculture is doing something that water also needs to know. Water needs to come in before agriculture comes in. Education wants to do something. Water has not done this. Roads wants to do something, or health wants to do something, but they want to put up a facility, but there is no road to that facility. So there must be somebody who links these people together. Now that is what governance does. Now the governor may not be everywhere within the county, but having the governance structure helps him get communication from everything.
Let's take a break very quickly, then we come back. Let's take a very short commercial break. We'll be back with Leonard Kwama. Hakika ule uamuzi niliochukua kumhusu Badi ulikuwa wa makosa. Najutia kusema la kweli. Haukuwa uamuzi wa busara kabisa.
Tulimalizana mimi na wewe. Sawa. Na sijui kwa nini nifuata hapa.
Nataka kukushukuru kwa kunirudishia sauti yangu.
Ni vizuri mtu kuchukua muda na kufikiria mambo kwa makini.
Wewe, nilikuleta hapa kuja kufanya nini?
Yaani ya maneno ya kujirudia. What type of nonsense is this?
The excitement of the Olympic Games doesn't just stop there, as the biggest para-sports event, the 2020 Paralympic Games, gets underway from the 24th of August to the 5th of September in Tokyo, Japan. So, get ready to be inspired by these sportsmen and women with outstanding abilities, and look out for Team Kenya too in their quest for glory by watching all the highlights daily on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
It's a plus to those. Yeah, welcome back. We're still continuing the discussion here with Leonard, learning so much from the role of administrators here. And just to pick it from where we're having this discussion, why is it that most county governments have not embraced the role of administrators? Let me call it the village administrators or the county government administrators. It's only Makueni and Kisumu?
Yes,
out of 47, which is 45 counties.
Yeah, it's only Makueni and Kisumu. And you see, that is the reason why you find that every time that there's a research going on, you'll always see Makueni topping the list. Because this structure gives them a balanced project structure where every part of the county has got some development going on. So when people go to every village, they'll find something under county government. And those without still find not clear structure, and you'll find that development is leaned towards one side. Because sometimes when you go to public participation, not everybody goes to public participation. So you'll find that this community, only these people went for that public participation. So when decisions are being made, the assumption is everybody's cut up.
Exactly.
But you see the projects going towards one direction. So it makes it easier. But three things come into play. One is leadership. Number two is strategy. And number three is possibly resources.
That is strategy,
leadership, and resources.
And resources, right.
Leadership, to mean that the head at the county level, that is the governor, whether he's thinking to have or he understands that this structure needs to come to be put in place. Number two, again in leadership, the people who surrounds the governor, do they think in that direction? Governor's position is political. So in some counties, people look at it like, now what should we do before the next general election?
Exactly.
So they try to push things. But if you have very sober leaders who strategize and thinks of how do we get this to the people, then you start looking at what are the provisions within the constitution that can allow us to have this done.
Do people really appreciate your roles in the county government, for example, in Kisumu?
In Kisumu, actually, is the most active department.
Right.
And every morning you will find ministers from every department calling on to the department that, okay, we have this plan this week. You want to go and open some water plant somewhere. So can you inform your community so that they do mobilization down there, so that the people will know that the county government have brought us this water project and they're coming specifically to open it for the people. You get it? So everything that is going on within the county, an ECD, sometimes there's an uproar in the community. People saying that, you see, we are still walking long distances in getting water. So this communication is picked by the village administrators because they're the people who interact with the people. So they pick this, then they bring it up to our level. Then we can easily advise the Department of Water about the challenges that are going on in this
Seems
sector.
like a lot of work because, when you say that the governor's position is pure political. So as a governor, you must have administrators moving all the way from that position down to the village level.
Yes.
So it's purely lots of work?
It's lots of work, by the way.
Right.
But it's helpful. Yeah, because it ensures that every part of the county is heard on the challenges that they go through. So our work basically at this level, one of it is to, once we get that information from the village, then we decide this one goes to which department. These people needs water. They don't have water. These people needs, let's say, something in agriculture. Maybe these people needs an ECD center. They say, in this whole village, we only have one ECD. So students or pupils walk long distance. So it's up to us as executive to advise the Department of Education that in this village, there's a problem. The problem is they only have one ECD center. So we need to think of, in your next plans, as they put it in their public participation requirements, that we need to add more ECD centers. Or you'll find that there is one ECD center, and the ECD center can accommodate only 40 kids. But they have over 100 kids. So that communication, you must pick it from the village. And we get data from the village administrator saying, in this village, in this school, we have one ECD center that can accommodate 40, but they have over 100 kids. So once we get that, we move very fast with the Department of Education to see that an extra classroom is built for the people. So you find that in every part of the county, there is something going on, because we want to ease what the people are going through. We want to ensure that they get the services that are entitled to.
Absolutely. Your parting shot as we come to a close.
Now, we have two main activities coming to Kisumu.
All right.
One of them is investor conference that we are hosting in Kisumu in September. I think we'll do more publications on it.
That is in September?
September, around 20th. We'll do official communication to it. What we're trying to say is we want both local and international investors to come to Kisumu. We are providing them the environment they need to put up their businesses in Kisumu. So we are going to host that conference so that they will all understand and see what they can do in partnership with the county government of Kisumu. The other activity that is coming in May next year is the Afri-Cities. That is now global. We have all local authorities within the continent all coming to Kisumu, and it's for the first time that is happening in a not main city. Most of the time in other countries it happens to the capital city, so it's the first time that is happening to a city that is not the main one, what you have in Kisumu. So we are going to host over 10,000 delegates from all over the world.
That's huge.
Coming to Kisumu, want to look at what can they do with the people of Kisumu, and what can we also borrow from them so that we make Kisumu better than the way it is now, so that by the time Governor comes to an end of his term in 2027, we expect that Kisumu will never be the same again. And moving forward, Kisumu is situated as the capital city of East and Central Africa. And if that is the case, what kind of city can we have? So that's why sometimes you see people used to make noise that we are demolishing this and that. We have to put structures in place. We have to ensure that there is proper drainage system. We have to ensure that there is proper plan. Traders are here, not that they are everywhere. We have to ensure that every activity that is happening in Kisumu has got a plan that is to it. Sometimes you see cabros running around. We want to see that people of Kisumu, sometimes when you leave work, just walk around town, without hustling, without stepping on, matope here and there.
Exactly.
So it makes life easier as we move forward to ensure that we change Kisumu to a better place.
There's a gentleman called Dixon says, Omera Bwana, it's not called Kisumu, it's called Europe. It's called Europe.
That is where we want to take it to. So it's a good one. It's where we want to take it.
And it's not Europe the way it's written. It's Y-U-R-O-P. Europe. Thank you, Leonard Akwama. Leonard Kwama, Director of Governance and Administration, Kisumu County Government. Of course, promise me that when you call on the governor, you'll give us the governor.
I will.
On Saturday, you'll be in Kisumu, so I will look for you. All right. Thank you so much. That does it for now. On behalf of my colleagues, we just need to say thank you so much for being with us in the show here from 6 in the morning until 10 minutes to 10. All right. Yeah. My name is Victor Lowe. We wish you a splendid day ahead and always a pleasure having you on the show. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.